Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. Happy Metallurgy Day. What's going on? Hope you're doing well. I'm Marty. Good to see you. I'm joined once again, as always, by Alan. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing all right. I like Metallurgy Day. We just have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Metallurgy, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah,
Yeah, it kind of fits. We can make this happen.
yeah. Some of us, like me and Logan, we have a midweek Metallurgy bump.
True.
Logan, how you doing? Welcome.
I'm doing great. As Marty just said, it's happy to escape from the midweek Metallurgy Day to Friday Metallurgy Day, which is, just as fun for sure. A bit longer, more in depth on topics. And cheers to you guys. This is the 250th episode of Heavy
Oh, shit.
Metallurgy.
That is right. Yep.
And you're slumming it with me. Sorry in
Yeah.
advance, guys. Way to spend 250 episodes. But cheers to you all. Thanks for all that you guys do, man. You make it a heavy metallurgy day for a lot of people out there.
We tried to get somebody to jump out of a cake for this one, but Logan was the cheapest on the.
I told him I could crack a beer, and that's it.
Yeah, crack a beer, jump out of a cake. It was lost in translation, but this, we'll roll with it. It's good to see you, man.
The real problem is Marty baked the cake after they got in. So
Yeah.
All the super chats are going to his legal fund now. It's
That's
a
right.
mess.
We can
You
bail
always
him out.
bake the cake first. How many times have I told you?
Yeah, 250 of this show and a whole bunch of Wednesday shows and a whole bunch of other stuff. Hopefully, you folks have gotten around checking out the Chuck Billy interview that happened yesterday. Sue Verica did a nice little interview, 17-minute long interview with Chuck Billy. If you haven't watched it yet, go do it. Click a like on that. That would be pretty sweet. Yeah.
It's a good interview. I mean, Sue being, a very old school, headbanger herself, has, a good sort of take on Testament and, their career. So it does not feel like just like a standard interview you'd read in a run of the mill, website or publication or something. So it's like, yeah, these, questions actually are, interesting. And you could tell Chuck was interested in formulating answers, that it wasn't just, a stock list that every journalist gives him.
I have it on good authority that when they get back from their trip, there's going to be an interview with Immolation and possibly an Angel Witch interview coming down the pike. So everybody, stay tuned to Heavy Metallurgy. Like, subscribe if you're new here. We really appreciate having you on. And everybody in the chat, welcome. Thanks again. Hey, what's up, Ed? I hung out with Ed this past Sunday here in Traverse City. Ed, I'll be getting you a package out next week for sure. So cheers. It was good hanging out with you, man.
Indeed. And thanks to folks in the chat for hanging out for 250 episodes. Some of you are newer than that. Some of you have been around pretty much since day one. But yeah, we appreciate everyone hanging out, having a good time and contributing in the chat or watching later on. If watching live doesn't fit your schedule, that's okay too. Thank you.
Thank you a bunch. Yep. Alan, you said you had some shout outs you wanted to start off with today.
I do. I don't know why I said that so emphatically. I do.
You're excited.
One shout out. Had been looking for a copy of this for a while, and Marty found it and sent it my way. Creator's Coma of Souls. No, it's not like a super cult, hard to find thing. It never shows up locally when I'm out at stores or anything. And every time I looked it up online, it was like, kind of crazy expensive. But yeah, so Marty sent that my way and been enjoying that all week. Thank you very much, sir.
Hey, least I can do.
And this just arrived in the mail this afternoon. This is a project that's been about 15 years in the making. Cult Metal Classics has helped publish the North America Private 45's guidebook. This covers all the kind of weird ass records I tend to show over on Let's Talk Metal that like 13 people have heard of. These are the 13 people that know them.
And they all got together and made a book.
And they all got together and made a book. And it took about 15 years of compiling. But there's over 1,300 entries in here. It covers stuff, not just metal, but also, as the title says, hard rock and even some AOR stuff, ranging 1978 to 1990. So, kind of strict on the years, which is fine. Just as a quick look inside for anyone that's curious about it. This is just meant to be like, here's a guide for what exists. So, it's very straightforward
Whoa.
in terms of, band name, titles of songs, pictures of labels, picture sleeves if they exist, year, country of origin, all this kind of, basic information you'd want to know. There are not write-ups or, reviews of any of the records whatsoever. The main author, John Hopt, really the only author. I mean, other people have contributed, but John put this together. He's the guy who used to run OPM Records. John didn't want to fill it with a lot of sort of personal reviews of records. That obviously would be kind of biased and it would just be one person's point of view. So that was never really his intention. He's not trying to tell you what these sound like. He's just trying to tell you, here's what exists. If you find records in here you're interested in and want some information about, Christian Knutson, who's been a guest on Heavy Metallurgy before, he has a review wing added to the Colosseum website where he does offer reviews for a lot of the singles in here. Not all of them, but a ton. Other thing to note is this is not a price guide. There's no there is information provided about pressings. If a band included like a famous member, like, somebody went on to be in Rat or Sabotage or something, those kind of things are noted, but it's not a price guide. Prices on these kind of records are notoriously hard to nail down and they change pretty rapidly over time. So John did not want it to be treated as some kind of price guide. Like, oh, well, John says it's worth $300, so obviously it has to be $300. That could be very different a year from now. So, but it does look like a really nice book. I know he's put a ton of work into it.
Looks great.
If this seems interesting to anybody and you're looking for a copy, I checked with Gary over at the Heavy Metal Museum a couple of days ago. He did get a few copies and he still has a couple left. So you can contact him and inquire about obtaining one if you'd like it. So once again, it's the North America Private 45s book. I don't know of anybody else in the US that has a bunch of copies in stock at this point. Hopefully more folks will, or that Gary can get some more. But yeah, wanted to show it off. It's a cool thing. I'm happy for John because, again, he's worked on this literally for over 15 years. And as a thank you too, it was kind of cool to see as I flipped through it this afternoon. A certain professor is, thanked in the acknowledgments. I provided a very minuscule amount of information on a few of these titles, and John was nice enough to even include me in the thanks list, even though I did very, very little for it. So yeah, cool book. Check it out if that's your kind of thing or you'd like to dig into that scene.
It's nice the fact that, well, I think back, like price guides and stuff. Martin Popoff did a book a long time ago. It was a giant size book. It was kind of like a whole bunch of albums in there, pressings. It was similar to that. It had like what the pressings were, but it also had eBay pricing in it at the time, which
I think it's
at the time it was laughable. Now you look at the stuff that was in that, but it's so dated. And the pricing, like, man, I would buy 20 of those if I found them at that price.
Exactly. I think it's the book that Typo is talking about here in the chat. Yeah, that's that big like heavy metal record.
Oh, that
guide.
Is the one. Yep.
Yeah, I've got a copy of it on the shelf back there too. And that's the thing. Yeah, it's cool because it does have pictures of some obscure stuff in it. It was neat at the time. But even when it came out, some of those prices were just ridiculously either way too low or way too high. So I'm kind of glad that, John did not try to make this into a price guide. It's like, here's the information. Do with it what you want. If you're interested in these, you can look for clips of them online. You can look things up on Discogs. You can look things up on not PayPal, PopPsych, the one that archives old eBay auctions. You can go find the price info if that's what you're interested in. But the book won't feel immediately outdated because it included price info.
Right on. Well, tonight's topic. Logan decided on wanting to do a year, and he chose 2016, which, for a lot of us folks, you just look at the date 2016, that seems like it was, a month ago. And a blink of the cosmic eye, I start to realize that my son was 5 years old then. And now
And
he's
how tall is he now?
he's 6'4", pushing 6'5", and he's 15. And I told him he needs to shave because his stash and his beard is coming in. I'm like, what the fuck? This kid could buy beer at this point. But yeah, I mean, 10 years. It has been a bit
Yeah.
crazy to sit and process something as easy as 2016 and then start thinking back a little bit how much time has indeed passed. And
Yep, it's a decade.
it's a decade, 100%. How are you guys with all of this? What were you doing 10 years ago?
Man. Yeah, I mean, that was honestly a big year for me. Like, that was my last year of college. I graduated from NC State December of 2016. So honestly, looking at the year as a whole, it was a pretty great year. It was like a lot of closing of doors and triumphantly leaving one chapter of my life, not realizing, stepping into adulthood, a lot of the stuff that you enjoyed is gonna go away or become drastically different as soon as you start the real grind of more independently living and trying to forge a career and all that fun shit like that, that has nothing to do with metal. So for 2016 as a year, it's a fun last hurrah for the college days and having a lot of disposable income for records and a lot of time to listen to very long records. So yeah, this was a big year for diving into metal for me.
How about you, Ellen?
See, that's interesting, Logan. I'd left NC State over a decade before he graduated. So I was there quite a bit earlier. 2016 is a weird year for me when it comes to heavy metal. I hadn't thought about it until Logan picked this year. But as I started going through my collection, I realized this is a year I was not very plugged in to the metal scene whatsoever. In 2016, we had just started raising a family. So we were still, my wife and I were still dealing with, a very, very a little kid in the house.
Always a new fun transition.
Yeah. So, I mean, very, odd sleep schedules for us at times. I tended to be the one who got up to, take care of him when he woke up in the middle of the night. So I spent a lot of time sitting on the couch, like from 3 to 4:30 in the morning, just like, kind of cradling him, getting him back to sleep, listen to, and I would just put on podcasts, but not music. Music I knew would probably just make me fall back to sleep. So I started listening to podcasts about different games because they were, interesting enough. It would keep me paying attention, and that way I wouldn't doze off while he was there in my lap. So yeah, music wasn't really a big thing. With starting a family comes a ton of expenses, so I wasn't buying as much metal either. I'm almost certain I had ended my subscription with eMusic by that point. I had used that for several years. It was as a kind of cheap, easy way to keep up with some new releases. If I didn't end it by 2016, I would be surprised. Looking over what I have from 2016, not much of it is on MP3s. So that tells me I probably wound that up maybe the year before. And yeah, I wasn't posting on forums or websites much anymore. Most of that kind of stuff had already passed its heyday a long time before. So it was kind of a very quiet year, quite literally, in terms of music around here. I, of course, accumulated some stuff here and a little bit there. I didn't check year by year by year, but I'm willing to bet 2016 is one of the years I have the least number of releases from in my entire collection in terms of like 1983 all the way up to the present day. Someday I'll sit down and figure that out. Oh, I can make a chart out of it. Yay, I'll be a geek. But I'll bet 2016 is actually probably about one of the low points in terms of just volume of albums I own from heavy metal. But there are still some really good things that came out that year that we're going to get to talk about tonight. I'm really interested to see what like Logan has to pick. Glenn mentioned a moment ago he's looking forward to Logan's picks. I am too. Like Logan was saying, he was much more plugged into the scene, keeping up with more things. So I'm betting he has some really good insights into stuff that just passed me by and I never got around to checking out and probably still haven't. So that was my weird my weird 2016 story. Marty, where were you in this year in metal?
Well, I was in this basement doing similar things. I had a 5-year-old. I run Binder Recordings, which is pretty obvious from things hanging on the wall. And it was a busy year. And we put out the Volgaflüster Panopticon split 12-inch and CD, co-released it with Nordvis. Nordvis put out the full-length Volgaflüster album Ruin. Also put out Vukari's second album. This is Divination. Atmospheric black metal from Chicago area. Also put out The Hours Beneath by Anephrons. This is the band's second album at the time. He was living in Minnesota, and the music is maybe not. Maybe that came later. Events, they all turn to mush in this mushy, stinky brain. But yeah, atmospheric black metal in the Beinrune vein, a lot of acoustic guitar stuff mixed in here. And Jim, who is our co-compadre on the album club, he runs Iwas Recordings, and that year he put out the Pestifere album, Hope, Misery, Death, and also Marsh Dweller, The Weight of Sunlight. So in the hemisphere here, there was a lot going on, and all this, he was in Traverse City, so it felt like I've always tried to stay plugged in to music, whether I buy a lot one year or not. But looking back at the list, I'm familiar with a lot of the stuff that came out, a lot of black metal, some heavy metal stuff. And yeah, every year is a good year for metal. I know some folks say it's not, but I think that all kind of, you can trace that back to the mood that they're in. It isn't metal's fault you're not into it. It's your fault. And,
yeah, that's a good point, Marty. And not to sidetrack us right away. I mean, it's also just a question of how much you want to dig.
Yep.
If you're only going to keep an eye out for, releases by your 10, 20 favorite bands or things widely advertised and hyped, then yeah, you're probably going to feel like some years there's not very much. But if you dig a little deeper, to some smaller labels, independent bands, groups just coming up on Bandcamp, there is always some cool and interesting stuff. I think just about anybody can find a solid handful of releases every single year, but it does take time to dig through all those kind of sites and give things a fair listen. Also, if you don't put in the time, then yeah, you will overlook some stuff, and it can feel like, nothing came out that year. But it does take some work to find them sometimes.
And I think if anybody is like watching like Banger TV right now, Sam Dunn has come on, and when he was talking about the best of the year of 2025, saying that metal just doesn't seem to be is happening this year other than a few things. And here's a guy that's making a Judas Priest movie and not necessarily plugged into the goings on. So,
and he's making, television programming for Canadian networks that has nothing to do with heavy metal. And that's not a criticism. That's a good project for Sam. He's perfect for that. And I'm sure it's a very lucrative, career boosting kind of opportunity. But yes, if you're checked out of the scene, you can't really say, there's nothing happening in the scene. Like I've already admitted, I was kind of checked out of the scene in 2016. Yep. I will say a lot of things tonight. I will not say that, 2016 was a dead year for metal, because it wasn't. And even I know that, being as tuned out as I was.
Yeah.
And I think we all go through that phase at some point in life. Like it's just a ebb and flow of being able to, fully just be as excited and involved in a scene that you're passionate about as you want to be. I mean, I know probably 2021, 2022, I felt a little bit of a slump with my metal appreciation and stuff. And honestly, it took the YouTube thing to kind of get me feeling once again more involved with the underground thing. So,
yep.
And I know I'm sure there's people out there who'd be like, 2022, one of the best years of metal, period. So everyone, it's exactly what Marty said. Every year's a good year for metal.
And honestly, we are fortunate the fact that we're doing the YouTube thing, so we're
Oh, it's great.
in a certain way kind of forced to remain plugged in. I mean, I was at the height of writing for Maniacs and Worm Gear Zine. I was overstimulated with shit. It was too much. It was too much for any human to, and it in a lot of ways kind of kills your enthusiasm for everything. To hear almost everything kills your enthusiasm on almost everything. So, but when that all ended, I could have very easily just trailed off and not really. Well, I still would have. I'm collector scum. What am I? I'm going to keep buying stuff, but you get into a community like this, you kind of stay plugged in and are interested. Maybe you're little more interested to check out that new Mayhem record or that new whatever new album that's coming out. Where I may or may not have done so without a platform. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So this keeps us plugged in and interested, and and it's fun. 100%.
Yeah, meet cool people.
Meet a lot of cool people.
I can't complain here.
Yeah. But okay, well, I have a pretty healthy stack here.
Oh yeah,
we may or may not go 3 hours tonight. We'll see. But
we'll go 3 hours.
I'll do my best. My stack is a bit modest, as I said.
We'll carry you, Alan. It's okay. I got
just leave the obvious ones for me, and we'll be okay. You guys have the cult stuff. I have the obvious stuff.
All right, here we go.
And I guess another quick note on my just music collecting, and I'm curious if you guys have gone through like a phase like this. For some reason, back in 2016, I got in my head that I was ready to fully dive in to just buying vinyl only. Like probably one of my biggest regrets from that year. Like me, the guy who loved shopping at Goodwill. That's probably why it all started here. I was like, I'm just gonna go buy only vinyl, and all the stuff I want is gonna be only on vinyl. And they were different. It was different prices too. Like talk about inflation. A lot of my records still have the price on the sleeve,
Yeah.
And
not to interrupt, Logan, but yeah, Angelic in the chat just said the same thing. This was the year they started buying vinyl.
And for me, it was just the big year where I was only trying to buy vinyl, no CDs, and for a single LP it was like $16 new. Brand spanking new, double LP, 23, maybe $27 on like a nicer, copy. I remember thinking that $30 is insane. Anyone who would spend $30 on an LP, double LP, any kind of record, that's just an astronomical price. But here we are, 10 years later, 40, 50,
It's bad.
$60 sometimes for some of these things if Century Media had their way. So
yeah.
But don't worry though, because even if you pay them, you'll never receive it.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, that's good to know.
You won't actually own the $60 record because they'll never send you the $60 record.
I need to ask this question. This is probably an aside that could get into the weeds a little bit, but as a collector, I mean, I've got a modest vinyl collection. It's not, I've got friends that it's ridiculously enormous, but mine is pretty okay. And I was kind of like you. I'm like, I'm just going to buy stuff on vinyl, but come to find out I don't spin it as much because it's just, you're kind of chained to one area of the house to listen to vinyl.
Very
But then in the mental change is I don't really own this release until I have the vinyl. I can have the cassette, I can have the CD, but it's not, I don't truly have it yet. You know what I mean? Is that just
that might be a you thing, Marty? I don't know, man.
Brain, or
I somewhat relate to the cassette thing because there are cassettes that I own over here that I'll forget I even have. Like I didn't even search through my cassette collection. I mean, I don't have a lot, maybe 80 to 100, but I never really look at it, and I will try to seek out the CD and record, as if I don't own it, even if I have it on cassette. But for me, it's all about the CD, like, because it's ease of access. I play it in the car. I've got like a quick boom box I can bring anywhere in the house, outside. Yeah, it's all about the CD and for the price. So honestly, it left me disappointed preparing for tonight's episode. I didn't have as much as I thought because back in the day, I was buying less because I was only trying to get the vinyl, and I was just like, oh well, for this album, streaming only is okay, but for this one, I need it on record. So there's actually a bunch of good stuff from this year that I still don't own because I was so heavy on only wanting to buy vinyl. So I regret that couple year experiment of my life, and I wish I'd started shopping at Goodwill a lot sooner. Is what I'm trying to say.
Where else would you have picked up those Sweet Tiger Tales CDs and shit?
Exactly, that came in handy for you on
It did.
last Friday, Marty. So
Yeah, Friday got
I'm
his
keeping
money's
I'm
worth.
keeping my eye out for the other Warrant CDs for you. Don't worry.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh, and Ian, thank you very, very much for the super chat. It's always nice of you.
And
Thanks,
I forgot,
Ian.
I'm pulling something, right? I was too busy talking about.
No, that's okay. But yes, you do get the first pull here.
Well, Marty will recognize a couple of these pulls because,
Yep.
man, being a part of Album Club is a blast. You get to torture other people with your terrible taste, and
That all made me see the light. That's a great record.
that's so cool. I honestly blown away by that. I was a little hesitant and nervous about bringing this. This is Cult of Luna with Julie Christmas, or what, Can of Tuna with Jiminy Crickets. Those often thrown about. But this is their album Mariner, and this is absolutely my album of the year for 2016. So I guess for my first couple of picks, I'm just going to go through my top three, starting at my number one, and this absolutely was my favorite. This thing blew me away. Of course, Cult of Luna, we're talking post-metal, long drawn-out building atmosphere. It's all about repetition and, taking from a minimalistic start to these just epic soaring highs. But the addition of Julie Christmas on here vocally adds just such a perfect emotional impact to the album. Like, it really hits you in a way that none of their other albums have for me. So Julie Christmas, she almost has like this post-punk, like hardcore, but kind of fragile delivery. But then when she really wants to roar and like shout, she's one of the most intense elements of the album.
Yeah.
And this
Chilling
album,
and angelic voice, but
yeah.
it can be ugly and mean too. It's very, very awesome dynamic swings for sure.
Yeah, this album gives me goosebumps when I play it. It's like a concept album, space travel. Makes me think of movies like 2001: A Space Odyssey, Interstellar, Sunspot, bunch of like favorite cinema. And yeah, definitely was fun exploring with the Album Club. Go check out that episode from just over a year ago, but definitely a 10 out of 10 album for me, and was the number one of the year, and is still an absolute all-time favorite of mine 10 years on. So
All right. Good start. What you got, Alan?
All right, let's just start with the big obvious one. Some albums get more attention in a given year than others, and one of the most talked about albums from 2016 would have been Metallica's Hardwired to Self-Destruct. And this is a good example of how tuned out I was. I didn't know there was a new Metallica album out at first in 2016. I had no idea until I started hearing some of the songs played on the radio while commuting back and forth to work. Now, Metallica, I had checked out on a long time ago. Even if I had known this was coming out, I'll be honest, I wouldn't have cared. It would have been like, great, another Metallica album I am not the least bit interested in. So it's actually probably better I didn't know about it ahead of time. As I heard a few of the songs on the radio, I was like, this is actually good. This is a Metallica song. I don't know. Which album is this from? And pieced it together. So I was like, oh, okay, there's an album that came out earlier this year. I had no idea about that. And it wasn't just, one song. There were a few different ones that were in rotation. Atlas Rise was one of them. Now That We're Dead was one of them. I don't remember. I think there's at least one more. But after hearing like 3 songs and thinking all of these are actually decent, I decided, for the first time in, it would have been, let's do the math. It would have been 25 years. I'm going to go out and buy a new Metallica album. The last Metallica album I bought before this was the Black Album in 91. So a quarter of a century later, I went out and bought a copy of Hardwired to Self-Destruct. And it was a very odd experience. Going to a just chain record store at the mall, it was like an FYE, and flipping through the CDs, like, yep, there it is. What do you know? They really did put out an album this year. Huh. Okay, kind of a weird cover. Not really a fan of the art, but
No, it's bad.
yeah, I don't care for it.
Talk about out of touch. Just not. I mean, they have been. Oh, there are
But again,
covers have been shipped for a long time.
they can put. I mean, they could just put a picture of a dog turd on it, and they'll still sell 10 million copies, and they know that.
Yeah.
But still, it was a slightly surreal feeling to be like, okay, I'm back in a record store holding a new Metallica album, taking it up to the cash register and paying for it. And this is something I haven't done in 25 years, which it was kind of a fun little nostalgic moment. It was not a, oh God, I'm so happy or anything kind of moment. It was just like, it's really strange buying a Metallica record. This is something I kind of haven't experienced in a long time.
Where's my puffy paint?
And it's like, where's my puffy paint shirt? I think the last one of these I bought. Well, again, I bought the Black Album. Before that, I bought Ride the Lightning and got like a Young MC cassette tape at the same time. I mean, it had been a minute since I had bought a new Metallica release. So that was my experience getting it. Now, as I said, I liked all the lead singles. I heard off of it. The album overall, though, is too long. It's a double album. And it should have been a single album. I think there are enough good tracks on here that if they had culled it down to one 45, 50-minute disc, it could have been a really genuinely strong release. As it is, you've got a lot of good songs, but you've got a lot of filler material too. For me, disc one is the better of the two. I like most of the songs on disc one. Not all. There's at least one on here that is kind of mid, but disc two is the one that feels like a bit of a chore. But when I start disc two, I'm like, this is going really well. And as I play disc two, I'm like, yeah, this is more of what I expect from Metallica in the 21st century. Is this thing over yet? Oh God, there's still 5 songs to go. There are a couple of decent ones on side two, though. I know a lot of folks like the closer, Spit Out the Bone, for example. So yeah, at the end of the day, it's not a bad album, but it's not a fantastic album. It is the best album they had made since And Justice for All, which sounds a little weird to say.
I like Death Magnetic. I think that's a good album.
I should spend more time
I would
with
take that one, I think.
And that's fair. I should spend a little more time with that one, and maybe I would pick it. Death Magnetic is another one that to me just feels so long to sit through that it burns me out before I even get 2/3 of the way through the album. So, yeah, Hardwired to Self-Destruct. It's not redefining anything, but it was at least a decent Metallica album, which is more than I had gotten for the past 25 years or so. So I'll take that and give it, I'll give it a thumbs up, though it is kind of it's a lukewarm thumbs up, but it does pass muster at the end of the day. So good for you, Metallica. You made something I actually was willing to buy and enjoyed. There we go. All right, Marty, what's your first pick for 2016?
All right, we're going with kind of a weird, obscure one. This one was sent to me by Brian Arkham. Everybody remember him? He's on the Sattersley crew on occasion, and he used to
Brian's a great guy.
Great guy. He used to do a channel every once in a while. A package will show up, and this is a Chicago land band, Mord's Nix. This album, this is called Revolution Street. This is their one and only full-length record. This has 2 members from Fer-de-Lance. A drummer from Super Christ, Chris Maycock or Chris Black, Professor Black band, whatever. We'll get there eventually with all those are right names. They're just, one guy. It took me a minute to spin this because it looks so, what is it? But finally putting it on, this is a really good heavy metal record. Really good. I mean, the solo work on here is good. It's not a European heavy metal sounding record. It's a very much a US sounding heavy metal record. Not a Metal Blade era type of metal record. It's just, there's a bit of grit from the city in here. I don't know. It's just there's something about it. Really good heavy metal singing, an upper register, kind of takes it mid tone a bit as well. But I mean, the standout here is the lead work, and the songs are very catchy. They're very unique. These guys don't really sound like anybody. There might be a little bit of new wave of British heavy metal in there, but it's just mostly just really good US heavy metal. And this is one that is very unassuming. Never heard of them. You know, they got an EP they also put out before this, which is also quite good, a little unpolished, but this is really a solid record. This came out on Underground Power Records from Germany.
Huh.
But yeah, if you're into Fertilance is a little bit more on the epic metal side of things, a little more triumphant and atmospheric and epic, sweeping heavy metal guitar. But this is more double bass, in your face, screaming guitar work. It's just a good record. So Mords Nyx, MORDSNYX with Revolution Street. Check this one out. It came out 10 years ago. Thanks, Brian, for sending this. I would have never in a million years have checked this out without a little bit of the VCLT love for sure.
Mhm.
But if you like heavy metal, I think you're going to like that record.
Cool. Don't know that one.
Yeah, that Arkham, he's a cool guy.
He's a cool dude. Yep.
Oh yeah.
This is an Arkham t-shirt. So cheers, Brian,
on.
out there. So 2016 was also special because for me, it gave me 2 10 out of 10 albums. Usually, I feel like I'm lucky if I find 1 10 out of 10 album that's been released in a year. Then I'm like, man, this is a near perfect album. But 2016, I was able to stumble across 2. I was worried Alan was kind of onto me when he designs the thumbnails because there's always like
I
the
thought that
album
one
that I'm
might
going
have
to talk
you.
about. Yep, you're
Yep.
right. Alcest, Kodama. This one really blew me away when it came out. This is my first Alcest record, so maybe that's why. I've been familiar with their previous album, Shelter, and like kind of knew what their sound was supposed to be. But to go from Shelter, if you guys do know that album, it's no harsh vocals, very much more in the shoegaze aspect and kind of fairly uplifting. And this one right here, definitely uplifting at times, but it's also got a dark mean streak to it. The Nij is back with some harsh vocals in most of the songs, and it really is just a beautiful, haunting, and kind of dark album. And I love the vibe. It's a very mysterious, like otherworldly fantasy kind of vibe. It actually, for me, it brings me a lot of visions of Hayao Miyazaki like anime films. I was also getting big into the anime movies and stuff back in 2016. I was in college too, so there you go. But Princess Mononoke, Nausicaa, Valley of the Wind, Ghost in the Shell, Berserk, the full manga. Was getting into all that stuff, and this was kind of like the soundtrack to that. It felt alien and different in the same way that, you know, those films felt just a bit different from what you'd expect from like an American animated film or something. So I absolutely adore this album. This is one of those like very quick release, and it doesn't waste a second. It's like 6 songs, 36 minutes, and absolutely not a dud on here. Like every single track hits. The ones that really kill it are the opening title track, Kodama, track 3. Of course it's in French, so I'm not going to be able to tell you their titles, but track 3 and track 5 absolutely blow me away every time. I was spinning it on my commute today, so I got the CD out as well, and yeah, still hits like the first time, man. So Alcest, Kodama, they kind of threw me off with their next album, Spiritual Instinct, if you guys know that one. But then the release that they did from 2024, that one is similar to this vein. So definitely became an Alcest fan after this release.
Cool pick.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know that album by Alcest. I have heard some of theirs, but not their whole catalog.
See, I thought you did because it was in the. You just.
I knew
You
you.
know me, Alan. That's fun.
Yeah. No, for the thumbnail, I very intentionally try to pick things I think other folks will want to discuss, and that one's a cool band. I just never have picked up that album. It's interesting to hear your anime list too. That's like every movie that my wife totally geeks out over as well. She loves those anime movies. All right, well, let's do another one of the big ones for the year. Folks have already mentioned it once or twice in the chat. We got the third album from Vector, Terminal Redux. This was the band's. Now, was this their debut on Earache or had the previous one? I know Earache got their catalog, but I don't remember if the second album originally came on Earache. I feel like this one was their Earache debut. Does anybody remember?
I'm looking it up. That is a huge album from this year, though. That was blowing people away.
It was, and it was not one I registered in 2016. I, again, wasn't the most plugged into the scene, so I knew nothing about Vector at that point. I found this used at a local store a few years later, maybe 2019, and it just looked cool. I might have heard of the band by then.
That artwork is awesome.
Yes, great sci-fi kind of inspired artwork. It reminds me in passing of like Nocturnus's Thresholds. The logo, of course, very Voivodian, so visually stunning. And the band had established a lot of groundwork on the first two albums. So, as I think you mentioned, this was one of those bands that very much seemed to be on the rise, and here they are with Earache, good distribution, a really solid album. I don't know if it's my favorite of the three Vectors or not. I feel like all three are just really good. I don't really try to rank them in my head. They're pretty consistent. They had their thing. They did it well. We know what happened yet. Some bands continue to ascend. Some bands, go up and down in quality. Some bands run into a brick wall, and unfortunately, Vector chose option C. We won't go into all of that here tonight, but it is a really solid album. I think a lot of people gravitate more towards one of the first two, but I don't think there's anything wrong with Terminal Redux whatsoever. I think it can stand up to those other two albums.
Clean singing was a surprise. First listen, some of the clean singing on it. Yeah.
Yep. And this would have been the first one I heard by the band, so that didn't phase me at all. It just seemed like something that they do. But folks have mentioned it. It was a big one for metal fans that year. Back cover art as well. It's a gatefold in case people haven't seen it on vinyl before. So really nice layout from Earache, the band whose CD copies couldn't suck more in terms of packaging. They actually did a really nice job on the vinyl packaging. So what can you say? But wanted to go ahead and mention that one because it's kind of an obvious one for 2016 that folks were already commenting on. Terminal Redux, third and really good album from Vector. Marty, what you got? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Logan.
No, yeah, sorry. If you had asked me back in 2016 what band would shape thrash for like the decade to come, and like what band would still be releasing classic albums and would potentially be able to put their name with the greats, I thought it would have been Vector. But as you said, Alan, it just crashed and burned, really. So,
yep. I think a lot of people
Power Trip kind of just stepped into that.
Yeah. I think a lot of people would have agreed with your pick on Vector. Now, one question with that, though. The only reason I can think to push back on that, do you think there's enough progression over those first three Vector albums that they would have really spearheaded things in new directions? Or are those first three albums already kind of getting like, here's what Vector does. They do it incredibly well and incredibly, it's great. But they maybe are just going to stick to this particular sound, and that will be their career. What do y'all think?
To me, it seemed like they were continuing to push the envelope. They actually did a bit too much for me on this one. It's like an hour and 15 minutes.
It's
long.
A lot.
It's crazy how long it is. And they go like Pink Floyd places in some of these songs. Marty, you mentioned the clean singing. The last track, Recharging the Void, there's this chick who reminds me of course, Dark Side of the Moon, like doing opera in the background of a thrash song. It's crazy. I'm a big fan of Collapse, the kind of the ballad, the clean singing ballad on here. But I feel like they could go the distance if they just continue to streamline that progressive and Pink Floydism into something, and it would feel different from album to album.
Okay.
I feel like.
Do you think this is maybe something that Blood Incantation was paying attention to? Because we'll talk about them more later, but they certainly picked up on that kind of Pink Floydian vibe as well.
In a way, Vector did move out of the way so Blood Incantation could step in place in a sense.
I think that Vector had, obviously they had a Destruction of Voivod influence swirling around just beneath the surface, but they did so much more with it. And I don't know if where they were going, there would have been spearheading a movement, because I hear that music and that band is so talented. I just think it's such a higher caliber of musicianship. It may have pointed a few bands in a more complex direction, but I don't know if a lot of bands could go where Vector was going. You know what I mean? So as far as a big spear, I think they were always kind of the anomaly. They were so good, but yet within this super complex, not only just the riffs they're playing, but the song structure and the way the vocals interact with the music, it was very complex, and they were just going in a direction that is kind of their own thing. And they could have kept putting out the same, variations on a theme, and I think it still would have been impressive, everything they've done. But
that's kind of what I'm wondering too, that maybe they didn't march too much more forward, but they would still have a pretty solid fan base with each iteration. Yeah. Okay. Interesting thoughts. Well, Marty, I think it's your turn.
Well, I landed in Chicago, so let's do some more Chicago. And this is the third album by High Spirits. This is Motivator. Again, Chris Maycock, his name comes up, and I think Ian is on this. He's also in that last album I shown. I think he's a drummer on this as well. But this High Spirits is a very strange band. They're very, I don't want to call them poppy, because it's not poppy. It's just it's a form of upbeat, up-tempo heavy metal. It
definitely has pop sensibilities about
pop sensibility. Does Chris have the best voice in the world? He doesn't, but what he does really works well for High Spirits. He sounds this is a guy that has done co-writing with Knockmistium. He's done other things out there as well. Pharaoh, he's a drummer for Pharaoh
Project. Super Christ was fun.
Super Christ was more or less a dirtier Motorhead worship.
Motorhead, if they never made it out of the bathroom stall.
Yeah, Filth Lords. Yeah. But this here is more polished and accessible. And this is a band that goes to Europe. They try to go to Europe often, and they play in front of big crowds. And there's this fits that more a palatable aesthetic for the European crowd here. I don't know how well these guys do in the US, but they have a very clean melodic sound, very good guitar work. Again, you got to have a shredder on here, and he does. But Chris writes all the music here, and he's got a good ear for hooks. And even though he doesn't have the world's best voice, he's kind of a monotone singing style. It fits within this context, and it's fun. It sounds like a band that's having fun. They would be a good fun band to go see. I've got all their stuff. Chris is a great dude. We're getting him back on again when he ever gets that damn book done. But
we need to invite him back before then. He can cover.
We should.
Yeah, he can talk about anything. But
this is true.
Yes, Bathory is reserved for Chris.
Absolutely. So yeah, if you never heard High Spirits and you like more upbeat, traditional metal, give them a chance. Good stuff. Another Night would be a good place to start. I think their debut.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic. Do you consider High Spirits a metal band, Marty, or are they just on the periphery?
I do.
Okay,
because they don't lean into hair. It's not a hair metal tune. It's just, I think it's just a very focused outsider. It's a metal thing, but it just doesn't feel like denim and leather metal. It feels more
not at all
slick and polished. I don't know. It's hard to put a finger on what they are, but
Yeah, for me, I wouldn't push back if someone said that. I don't think they're quite metal because I think they really are kind of straddling the fence there a bit. They have some metallic elements, but yeah, just the catchiness, the hooks to it, and like you said, it's a very fun kind of album. It's kind of a party album if your party is going to be not too wild or over the top. But yeah,
But
it's good stuff.
Ben's suggesting heavy rock. I mean, maybe,
Something like that, Ben.
Yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't be a bad way to label High Spirits. I wouldn't want someone to buy it thinking that it's going to be like an Eternal Champion or an Omen or a Power Trip or a Savage Grace. It's not that heavy. It's
Some of those new wave of traditional heavy metal bands occupy a similar space that I think those like 70s proto metal bands that were maybe metal in the 70s, and it wasn't until metal became what it was that they're obviously not. But I mean, Point of Entry is a good comparison, right?
Yeah, that's the you may be on the right track there, Logan. Maybe something like Sumerlands is getting closer to where High Spirits is at. But yeah, just so folks are aware that it's not an out and out kind of metal band. But Chris's bands always have their own personality.
They do.
Even a Superchrist that we mentioned before. Yes, it's very derivative Motorhead, but there's a strong Bad Religion vibe to a lot of the Superchrist tracks, which makes it feel a bit more unique.
See, I never would have got that influence because I don't listen to that. So good call. Yeah.
It was something I noticed years ago and was actually talking to Chris. I'm like, but do you like Bad Religion, by the way? He's like, I love them. Why do you ask? I'm like, because I feel like I'm hearing it in Superchrist. He's like, dude, no one has ever caught that before. I'm just like, well, I'm smart.
Why they call me the professor. Yeah. Right on.
Very cool. Great pick, Marty. Great pick.
Thanks. All right, Logan.
Well, another example of Alan knowing his audience. Chemist Hunted, another album that Marty is very much familiar with. I don't know if this landed quite as well as that Cult of
No,
Bruno
this didn't land.
did.
This was a chore. This one was a chore.
Yeah, it's always interesting to hear because you never, what other people think. Because I think I was off on what my expectations were from the club, and I was expecting this to go over perfectly, but hey, it's all good. It's
you're 1/4 of old farts. So, of course, TJ wasn't there at the time we pulled that one,
and he's a big chemist.
He likes them. He likes that.
Yeah. So, as I said, that was a learning episode. It was a teachable moment for me. But this Chemist is a huge band for the decade, the 2010s in general, especially the second half. They released 3 records. This is the second of 3, and their best. This is still to date their best album, in my opinion. It is absolutely epic. I think they nailed their doomed heavy metal, is what they call it, and it's melodic. It's somewhat polished, but at the same time, it still feels very dark and ominous. And they don't hesitate bringing in certain like death metal elements, and even, of course, they got growls every now and then. But track 3, Three Gates, has like this death and roll, like almost discharge kind of stomp and attack to it. So I was immediately taken by this. My favorite track is the closing song, Hunted. It is haunting. There's this beautiful melody that like kind of takes over it, and the closing minutes of it are just perfect, like spine-chilling music. So big fan of Chemist. To me, they really brought doom metal to, I think, a new generation of doom metal fans. I mean, honestly, doing something similar to like what Crypt Sermon are kind of doing, and it's still like they're worshiping at the altar of doom from the 80s, while at the same time still maybe being a byproduct of what Baroness and the Sludge and Mastodon and stuff was doing from the decade prior. So it makes sense in the context of 2016 as well. But I absolutely adore this album, and I guess I will continue to talk about it for years to come.
Well said, Logan. Yeah, that's when I heard it when it came out. I got it on MP3. I liked it at the time. It's not something I've ever really gone back to, though. It kind of had its moment, and I may have one more of the band's albums too, but I've just never have really circled back to them. I kind of lumped them in with acts like Pallbearer. As you said, there was that scene there, like, very late 2000s and into the 2010s, where you had bands that had a doomy sound, but you are hard pressed to call them traditional doom metal. That they don't feel like Candlemass albums or St. Vitus albums. They have a different reference point. It's an interesting sound, but it's one that it really is indicative of that little time frame for me.
All right. You're up, sir.
I am up. Well, I said I would hit the obvious ones, and I'll keep hitting the obvious ones. It has been mentioned many times in the past hour in the live chat, so let's not make the folks wait any longer. Blood Incantation with Starspawn. Another one I was completely oblivious to in 2016. But when I found this band, I was like, yeah, that actually works quite well. This particular album being their heaviest. Since then they've gotten more into the progressive elements. This one really harkens towards that old school death metal sound. Folks have been discussing in the chat. Did this album in particular and some other stuff from 2016 kind of force old school death metal forward as a movement? There were bands doing it, several years before this, but it may have accelerated around this point with some of the visibility around Blood Incantation, stuff that 20 Buck Spin was starting to really crank out. I don't know, because again, I wasn't plugged into the scene. I can't say if this was old school death metal's moment to break through or not. I'm interested to hear folks' opinions about that. But yeah, this is a very, very strong album. It leans on classic Morbid Angel, noticeably. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're going to lean on something, at least lean on some of the best. And classic Morbid Angel is among the best. So it's held up really well. I still get this one out and give it spins. I've enjoyed their other albums since. I know the band's become kind of divisive. Some people are not as keen on what they've been doing more recently. Folks have pointed out in the comments that they would like to see a smoothing of the band's influences, that right now they kind of jam those Pink Floyd sections in between the death metal sections. I don't find the transitions as jarring as some bands that do it. Opeth. But I can see the point too, that it would be nicer if they could find ways to blend that a bit more, because it does feel like they just kind of alternate styles back and forth, which is not going to appeal to everybody. There wasn't a whole lot of that kind of thing happening back on Starspawn. I think that's why this album is one people do go back to a lot. This is just extremely well done old school death metal, even if it does wear its influences on its sleeves a bit. But what do y'all think? Is this the point where old school death metal just became the de facto it thing? Did it not happen until later? Was it a little bit earlier? Y'all were more plugged in than I, so you can speak to it more intelligently.
The whole cavernous thing really started to take off right around that album. It seems like that was a more of a focus. A lot of people had their eyes on Blood Incantation early, and that's a good record. It reminds me a lot of Morbid Angel. But the cavernous bands, the Maggot Stomp bands, the Head Split bands, it was about to become a blossoming of knuckle dragging cavernous dwellers, and which is great. But it starts to where Blood Incantation maintained a bit of the old school by writing riffs. A lot of the stuff that spun off from that kind of dwelled in the more sound than song. So
Agreed.
To me anyway.
That's a good point, Marty. I agree. Yeah.
I'm honestly surprised that they were the band that ended up being the marked band to take the sound to
it's
bigger
weird.
heights.
Yeah.
And I am a big fan of them. I actually do not own that album. I was not listening to it back in 2016 for whatever reason. 2016 was not a big death metal year for me, but
Death metal's not a good soundtrack to Princess Mononoke.
No,
That's a good movie. Yeah.
Those wouldn't gel.
a lot more black metal for me this year. But I was here for the 2014 episode, and I had Promulgation of the Fall, Dead Congregation, Horrendous had Ecdysis, Morbus Kron had Sweven. So to me, the revival scene was very much well underway before 2016, but they just didn't have the band to really like launch it. And to me, it's interesting that Blood Incantation became that band, and I am a big fan of them, and I do enjoy Absolute Elsewhere for what it is. But at the same time, I'm still like, what's different, or what's separating them from what Horrendous was doing and what Tomb Mold was doing, and stuff like that.
Yeah, Rick just mentioned that. Yeah, Horrendous deserves a mention there too. As one of the bands that pushed that. And Horrendous, got started a little earlier. Their first one is what, 2009, 2010 time frame, maybe.
The Chills.
The Chills. Yeah. When did that come out? I don't remember offhand.
I don't remember.
2012.
Chat can help us out with that, I'm sure. I want to say it's 2010, but I could be off by a couple of years easily.
The thing that bugged me about I really liked that band, but the thing that bugged me was they were kind of the tip of the spear of this Martin Van Drunen vocal style. So many bands in that whole genre were doing the Martin Van Drunen vocal style, and it kind of, it's not Martin's fault, and he did it the best out of everybody, but still it was hard to miss, and it kind of made the bands interchangeable a bit. Horrendous, they ascended, they definitely moved beyond just a death metal band with the Martin Van Drunen singer. Now they're putting out weird jazzy experimental record, but great. The evolution, they're on a trajectory for sure.
Yeah. Not to sidetrack, but James' comment here. Have either of y'all watched that video from Andrew that came out earlier this week? The whole "there is no such thing as old school death metal." I saw the thumbnail, but I didn't watch it.
I started watching it, but I got pulled away. So I like his channel. It'd be cool to get Andrew on. Seems like a cool dude. Yeah.
It's worth watching. I'll say that. I would say, to a sense, I would agree. It's a bit of a rear view romanticization of maybe attributes that aren't as heavily involved with it, but it's, to another extent, it's definitely a YouTube video, right? Designed to be
clickable,
clickbaity, and
oh, sure, of course, the title is definitely meant to bring people in.
But he has points. I mean, he isn't just
he absolutely does have
he
points.
Definitely has points.
He demonstrates them, I would say.
Yeah. I didn't skip the video. I just didn't have time to watch it, and then I forgot about it until I saw James's comment. So James, thanks for mentioning that. Maybe I'll be able to circle back to that this weekend. All right, Marty, that means it's your turn.
All right, Ben, we'll get it out of the way. Kai Hansen and friends. Kai, he is one of those guys that appears to get bored. Gamma Ray, it's been a long time since there's been a Gamma Ray record. Obviously, he's back in Halloween now. He's got a new Hansen record in the can. I think that's coming out this year.
Every time you say that, I think of the stupid child band from the 90s. I can't not think that.
I'm late to this. I didn't catch this. I thought this was just a live album at Wacken, but no, this is an actual album full of songs. He's got a band. He put a band together. And they're good. It's a good album. There's a couple songs on here that are just a little too chugga hard driving, German heavy metal, obviously an Accept influence. It's hard for these old guys to not be influenced by either Accept or the Scorpions, especially being from Germany. But that's fine. But then there's some great songs on here. And you got, Stranger in Time with Kiska and Frank Beck, Tobias Sammet, Roland Grappow. You've got Hansi sings on one of these songs as well. So it's a mishmash of friends getting together. It's a good record. It's a 2 LP set. Sounds really good. Good songs. I'm looking forward to hearing the few clips that Kai has played on his Instagram. Sounds heavy. Sounds like another heavy record. I think that Halloween and his solo project is kind of conquered the need for Gamma Ray at this point. So, I know people are sad about that, but what are you going to do? I mean, what are you going to do? Flood the market? I don't know. I don't know what I feel about a gamma ray comeback, especially if Henyo's not involved in it and Frank takes over the lead vocals. I don't know, but anyway, that's another topic. Yeah, check out the Hanson and Friends. It's a surprisingly fun record. Good stuff.
Every time you say it, I know what you're talking about, and it's still just every time I see those stupid like 14-year-old kids.
Yep. All right, Logan.
All right. Well, another win for Alan's thumbnail over here. Let's see. I think it's on this side. Yeah, Armor of Ire, Eternal Champion. Oh, Marty's got the big version. He's got the grown-up version. There you go. Yes. Alan, you were just talking about the old school death metal revival, but for 2016, it was kind of the year that I actually started paying attention to the new wave of traditional heavy metal revival and started to give it more artistic credit and actually, going out on a limb and, checking out what the bands are doing and realizing that it's exciting, it's epic, of course, and to me, it's a different and unique scene at this point. Like, they are not just emulating their heroes, but they are kind of doing their own thing with it at the same time. Obviously, when I heard this back in 2016, I was not as well versed in the American heavy metal scene. I had not heard Omen ever. I don't think I'd heard Manila Road or Sirith Ungol at this point. So I went from thinking that new wave of traditional heavy metal was just trying to be Judas Priest or Iron Maiden to being like, wow, where are they getting the riffs for songs like I Am the Hammer, Blood Ice, and the last song of Valdez from? Like, where the hell are they finding the inspiration for these just fast, razor sharp riffs that also have a very doomy bite to them?
Well, Manila Road.
And exactly, I didn't know that at the time. I was blown away. Like, this blew me away, and it made me search for Manila Road eventually. So back when I first heard this back in 2016, it was a new avenue of heavy metal into the more occult side of things. And of course, now I realize that they're not inventing new stuff. They're just taking, but just from a different well than where I thought, new wave of traditional heavy metal could take. But at the same time, I do think they put their own little unique spin on it. Like, just the riff writing is so impressive and memorable on here. Every track has just that phenomenal, true heavy metal riff that really gets stuck in your head. And just the songs are great too. My favorite is track 6, Invoker. Absolutely love that song. Yeah, huge album for me that really made me think of new wave of traditional heavy metal as a viable sound that I wanted to be a fan of and have continued to be a fan of through today. So for me, I started back then and I kind of kicked myself for ignoring the style up to that point. So I don't know, this might be popping up in the coming Wednesdays potentially. So we'll do some foreshadowing there. But hopefully there's going to be another big new wave of traditional heavy metal album coming up that someone will mention, because yeah, it wasn't just this one. But
all right,
yeah,
Alan,
that's a good call, and that's a good story too, Logan. I think sometimes it's easy for someone like myself to hear an album like that and think, yeah, I've been here, heard this kind of thing before. It took me a little while to get into Eternal Champion because of that. I already knew all those bands, and so while this one's like, they're doing it well, but is it well enough that I need to pay attention?
So that was the reaction
for you. It made an excellent entry point to start checking out that kind of stuff, which makes perfect sense. But yeah, it is a good album. I came around on it. It did take a little while. Don't know why. I feel like that band is way overdue for another album too. They had a lot of success with that one. The second album was good and got a lot of hype, but it's now been 6 years since Ravening Iron. It's like, yeah, following up, the project was doing well enough. It feels like they should have kept going, but I don't know. Maybe 2 albums and done is it. That is one thing with some of those new wave of traditional metal projects. They don't seem to be really long-term projects. A lot of these bands seem to be phasing out after their second or third album. Maybe that's a skewed perspective. I'm not sure.
No, I've noticed it too. Visigoth came up in the chat to name
Yeah,
another
Visigoth,
one.
2 great albums, and I don't think we're getting another Visigoth at this point. I hate
And
to say.
Sumerlands was the other one I was hinting at being the other phenomenal new wave of traditional heavy metal album that came out in 2016. I don't own it, so I'm not going to be talking about it tonight besides right here, but that one really blew me away. You guys covered that on a Wednesday night episode.
Yep.
Only 2 albums to their name as well. So,
Yep.
Yeah, some of those bands, they seem to have a short shelf life, but that's got me. Traveler, 3 albums. They were a very highly visible band on that scene, and then soon after the 3rd album, it's like, well, okay, it's been fun, guys. It's like, oh, but you just made your best album. Sad. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe the chat can come up with some bands that have actually started making it to that 4th and 5th album mark that we're just not thinking of. It'd be good to know.
and then you have Haunt, who's at like album 9 or 12.
Oh,
Sorry.
Nothing against Haunt, but that's the other end of that spectrum. Those bands that just started flooding Bandcamp with a new release every 6 weeks. I'm sorry, I'm not going to pay attention to a band like that. I don't want following your one band to become my entire life. I don't need to hear new music from you every time there's a full moon cycle completed on the lunar calendar. No, prove me wrong, but I cannot believe any band is turning out really high quality stuff and just churning it out at that rate.
It's impossible.
It's got to become very cookie cutter formulaic.
No self-editing.
And I don't have the time to invest in a band that's just going to churn out something generic over and over and over in order to keep themselves at the top of a Bandcamp list. So that's my take on it.
Yep.
I know a lot of folks dig Haunt, and that's fine. Again, I've got nothing against the band, but I am not interested in following that kind of project that's just constantly trying to get you to buy another download. Anyway, let's go on to another big 2016 release. Megadeth, Dystopia. So you have yet another member of the Big Four releasing a really, really good album here. Megadeth's catalog is up and down for me. We talked with Craig Zoller recently about their stuff, and yeah, he's a huge fan. He likes their catalog much better than I do from start to finish. Megadeth has made some of the best albums ever, and they have made some of the worst albums ever, and everything in between. Dystopia is an extremely good one. Post Rust in Peace, I feel like there are I think there are 3 real highlights that came after Rust in Peace, and I think this is one of them. Kiko sounds great on this album. It's a good set of songs. It's just Megadeth really doing what they do best. Great, not technical metal, not in that sense, but amazing top-notch playing, great guitar showsmanship. But it also, feels like a thrash album. Dave had a tendency to sometimes wallow in his more just metal side. This one feels like it's biting more into the thrash vein, and that is where I prefer my Megadeth albums to fall. For folks that like, the softer side of Mustaine, that's okay. He's not bad at that style. I just never go back to those albums very much. But I think Dystopia is, one of the 3 highlights that he released post 1990. And really not much else to say about it. Marty, Logan, your takes on Dystopia?
Good record.
Honestly, Super Collider was that was it. I hate to say it. I couldn't do anything after that. And the way you described purchasing hardware to self-destruct, I've been wanting to go in and have that feeling with the new Megadeth, but I can't bring myself to do it. Just thinking of buying Super Collider on the day it came out, and
yeah,
that or 13. 13's not good either.
I suffered through it, and I was like, it's fine. I was pretending to like it, but
I will not blame you for steering clear of Megadeth after having bought Super Collider. That is a perfectly understandable and rational reaction, because that's a rough album. That's Chris Broderick on that album too, isn't it? On guitar.
I believe so.
That is such a waste of Chris Broderick, because he is a kick-ass guitarist.
Yeah.
And for him to have to be on, because I think he leaves after that album. And I would have, if I was Chris Broderick, I'd have left after that album too.
He's a clinically perfect guitar player. You watch him
Oh,
on
yeah.
that DVD, they Blu-ray they released of they played all of Rust in Peace. I bought the DVD. Perfect. He plays the Marty Friedman shit perfect. Note for note. Like, man, he looks like a model, and he's standing up there, not even breaking a sweat. And I'm like, fuck off, man. Just fuck off. You and your talent and perfection and beauty. Fuck you.
Super Collider could rival Elude Divinum Insanus in like songwriting decision making.
There's some
like
strange
cringe-worthy,
choices.
like,
Yeah. But Enigmatic's probably right too. Super Collider is not necessarily the worst Megadeth album, but yeah, some of the video choices too. That video will haunt my dreams as long as I have two brain cells to rub together. It's just, what are you doing? Weird. Anywho, Marty, I do believe it's your turn. Get us back on track with a cool album here.
All right. Well, this album hit. It kind of blew my mind. And this is another album club alumni, The Northern Sanctuary by Witherscape. This is
Megadeth connection.
Dan Swano and Ragnar.
Oh, wrong one.
Ragnar Viterberg project. This is basically Dan Swano's project, that his take on Opeth. We'll just put it there. The album that came before this is really good, very Opeth-y, and something I liked about this Witherscape adaptation of that sound a bit better than Opeth. Granted, Opeth was kind of the leader in getting the prog to really work well within metal, but Dan kind of comes from that era in a lot of ways. I think he has older brothers. Well, he does have older brothers, and I think that style rubbed off on him, and he just has a more authentic take on prog, I think. And I don't know much about prog, so I'm not gonna get on any sort of soapbox and say that. But this record, every year Dan Swano came out during this time and saying that he was never doing death metal vocals again, and then he comes on here and does some of the best death metal vocals he ever did. The Rapture Ballet, I love that song. I think it's The Examiner, has piano in it, and then he just comes in with this massive, just filthy, gross, sick
That's my highlight on that one.
Oh, it's so much impact.
The death metal ballad.
The death metal. It's so fucking good. It's such a good song. I mean, and Trevor, you're right, man. Look at this album cover. It is awesome. Awesome cover artwork. But yeah, Swano, it seems to be in retirement, just kind of reissuing a lot of his catalog, which is cool. It's cool. Moon Towers recently came out. I think there's a couple more Edge of Sanity records coming out, even one which he didn't perform on. And good. I mean, a lot of this stuff, it needs to be reissued and stay in the public eye, because a lot of this stuff is killer. It's just unfortunate it's on Century Media, because you're going to pay top penny, and don't ever use their mail order, because it is hit or miss if you're going to get your shit. But this is very much an Opeth type of metal band. A lot of piano, a lot of clean guitar moments, a lot of prog influence. But the death metal in here is heavy. It's groovy at times. It's intricate. It's a very well written record. Great vocals. Dan Swano for the win.
Always.
Yep.
So let's go with a real barn burner of an album. Just a thrashing balance between black metal, heavy metal, and Australia, of course. Destroyer 666, Wildfire. This was
their
my
last
first
good album.
Yeah. I think I've only heard the most recent one once, and unfortunately that was enough. I'll have to check it out again, but I mean, this one is not a good album. It's an amazing album. I am a huge fan of this one. It takes no prisoners, perfectly balances, what they were doing on previous albums like Phoenix Rising, but makes it a bit more anthemic, injects a bit more of like this epic heavy metal. I think there's some like German speed metal vibes in here. Like I hear some Running Wildisms on tracks like Hounds at Your Back, Hymn to Dionysus, stuff like that. But then they don't lose out on just the pissed off nonstop thrash like Die You Fucking Pig. There's a song title. Traitor, Live and Burn. I don't know. A lot of iconic songs and stuff. And at the same time, KK Warslut, he shows he's got a bit of a soft side too. There's like a ballad on here with the last track, Tamam Shud. It's just a real like, but not like a ballad, like love ballad, but like just one of those slow burning, like epic heavy metal kind of darker tracks that I heard back when this came out. It was a tribute to Lemmy and someone like Lemmy, like facing his last days on Earth, and just how a true rock and roll icon kind of, enters the twilight years and what happens after. And it really makes that song hit home to me. So this album is just super consistent across the board, great songwriting, and just fun to, slam a couple beers and headbang to. What more do you want from Destroyer 666? So had to mention them.
All right. Alan.
Yeah, we'll just stick to the obvious lane a bit more. Another big thrash band had a 2016 album that's quite good. Testament released Brotherhood of the Snake. We joke about Testament being sort of the poster child for the standard Nuclear Blast contract of just make albums that sound like your classic stuff. We'll put them out. Fans will be happy. You'll get paid. You'll be happy. Don't innovate. Don't do anything weird. Just make them sound like the old stuff. And Testament does, but they are very good at it. The albums are still enjoyable, all joking aside. Brotherhood of the Snake is no exception to that. It's everything you want a Testament album to be. It's got the classic sound. It's got, Alex. It's got Chuck. No one's going to really complain about it. The only reason you wouldn't like it is if you did want something really innovative, in which case, Testament's not the thing to listen to. It's interesting. I hadn't really ever put it all together, but 2016 is not a year you would think of for thrash releases, but we've already got titles from two of the big four. We've already covered Metallica and Megadeth. And here's, I guess, first runner up to the big four. The middle-sized five. I don't know what you call them. But, the heir apparent to the big four with Testament also having a 2016 release. So there was a good chunk of stuff from thrash metal bands. Granted, Metallica, it wouldn't be fair to call thrash by 2016. But you get my point. Those bands were still active and still putting out albums that we're giving thumbs up to. So there's maybe more to that style of metal in the mid 2010s than somebody would first think. You'd probably think, oh, it's mostly hipster metal mixed with some black metal, some old school death metal, and that'd be it. I think we're saying that there is a wider metal palette active in 2016. I like that Testament album. It's not my favorite from this
bit
era.
Long, but it's good.
But it is, it's very solid.
My kid today bought Titans of Creation at the store we went to it came in a long box, like the old school long box. Pretty
Goofy.
cool. It came with a pin and a sticker. We listened to it on the way back from Petoskey. Man, it's a good record. The songwriting is really good. DeGorgio is really doing great stuff. The production's perfect. It's a good record. Long, again, too long, but it's Testament. They sound great. I'm a little bummed about the new album. Check out Chuck Billy interview on Heavy Metallurgy. He put it up yesterday. Sue Verica interviewed Chuck. If you have not watched it yet, please go do so. That would be mighty nice of you. But all right.
Yep. We might even hear a little bit more about the big four before the night's over. I don't know. We will see.
There we go. Yeah, we might. All right. well, let's get out of this heavy metal thing I've been doing. Let's go the other direction. We got one half US,
K-pop?
one half one half Australia. Let's go Black Funeral with Enku and the Deathfire. Michael Ford, kind of a long-standing black metal purveyor for the US scene, always had to employ other people to see his vision come to fruition most of the time. For a long while now, he has been working with Asgore from Drowning in the Light. So yeah, this sounds like a Drowning in the Light record. Let's be honest. And there's plenty of those in the world, but I had to check it out when it came out, and it's good. It's solid. Michael Ford's voice is filthy and grotesque, and very cool album cover. Very, very cool illustration. But yeah, this is I've always kind of kept my ear to the ground with the Black Funeral stuff. I really enjoy their early output. There's a middle era that's pretty rough. Drum machine, him playing keyboards as guitar, and it's interesting. It's completely extreme. It's very weird, but he's back, and he's got a guy that knows what black metal is and how it's supposed to sound, but he picked a very prolific musician to help him with this, and Drowning in the Light puts out so much shit. And this, just like I said, sounds like another Drowning in the Light record to me, but good. It's solid. If you're into that style, you will not be disappointed with that one, but had to check that out when it happened. What's up, Miss A?
All right. So from thrashy black metal, heavy metal, hodgepodge that was Destroyer 666, let's go to a progressive folk black metal hodgepodge with Borknagar. They released a huge album, at least in my mind, a huge album in 2016. Winter Thrice. This was not my first Borknagar. I actually got a copy of Olden Domain pretty early on. This was the first new one that I did check out, though, and it really did blow me away. It opens up extremely strong. The Rhymes of the Mountain, Winter Thrice, Cold Runs the River, which that track is my favorite on the album. And then it just kind of plays strength to strength. Like, I think it opens up very epic and forceful, and then it kind of goes into a more progressive leaning, atmospheric and open kind of sound from there, with tracks like Erodent and Noctilucent and Terminus and stuff. So huge album. I think what really hooked me is just the way they do vocals. We've got 3-4 amazing vocalists on here. It's hard to keep track of course. We got ICS Vortex, Winter Sorg, Lars Nidland. Yeah, just a tour de force for Norway when it comes to the vocal performance. And in my mind, this is some of their best vocal hooks that they've written, at least in the 2000s, I think, Winter Thrice. So this is still a absolute favorite when it comes to the Borknagar discography, which I had to remind myself, you guys actually did a deep dive on them. I forgot.
Melanie.
But yeah.
Yep. With Melanie and
Jimmy.
Simon also? Oh, Jimmy was, I knew somebody else was.
Oh, Jimmy. Yeah.
Yep.
So great band, and definitely to me on the top of their game in 2016 with this one.
Miss A, thanks for the super chat. I didn't see that until just now.
Thank you very much, Miss A. Always fun to have you all in the chat. Hope you're doing well.
All right, Alan.
All right. I'm, again, just Captain Obvious here for tonight, but that's quite okay. Y'all have the cool stuff nailed down. This one's come up a couple of times in the chat. Folks have pointed it out, and rightly so. Metal Church, classic American metal. They released 11.
Digging into my pockets here.
And this is pretty easily my favorite later era Metal Church album. We've done a deep dive with, I think it was Darcy, right? For the Metal Church catalog.
Yep. Thanks, Billy. Appreciate you, man.
Oh, thank you very much, Billy. And Metal Church, of course, everyone gravitates towards the first few albums. Those are the classics. Then after that, they get kind of, hit or miss. Oh, Lee, thank you also.
Thanks.
My goodness, folks. Appreciate it, guys. For
Making
sure.
it rain.
So yeah, some of the stuff starting with Hanging in the Balance, Metal Church for me can be a bit hit or miss. Most of the albums aren't bad, but they're also not albums I want to circle back to. So, but 11 is one of the exceptions. I feel like this is one of those albums where things just lined up really well. They
Mhm.
got a really strong set of songs. Mike Howe sounds great on here. And it works. It's funny because it's not a good cover whatsoever. It's not the worst Metal Church cover because Hanging in the Balance is a thing. Good Lord, is that a thing? Oh, now I can't unsee it.
Good album though.
I don't care for Hanging in the
I
Balance.
liked it.
I think that album has no direction.
Yeah.
It feels like a band who is lost and trying to figure out what they want to do, which doesn't end well. But 11 is a band that knows exactly what they want to do and how to do it, and they execute it extremely well.
Good album.
So yeah, just a really solid one. Again, it's not reinventing the textbook or anything like that. It's just doing Metal Church at a very high level. So if you're someone who kind of fell off the Metal Church, if you haven't been to church in a while and you need to get back in there, 11's a really good album to check out. I think you'll be happy with that if you're unfamiliar with others that they've done in the past decade.
It was good to hear Mike Howe come back, sound really, really good. And
yes,
I really like the album that came after this one even more. That is, I
That
pull
one's
it off
good
the
too.
shelf. There's some really good Revolution Underway. What a
Mhm.
great song. There's some great stuff on that record.
Yep. And of course, we're looking at new Metal Church material. They've already got at
Sounds
least one
good.
single out. People have, it's had a really good reaction to the lead single. So there'll be more Metal Church in the very near future. That's
Yep.
a band that's still going. Hopefully, it'll be a really great album.
Yep. All right, Logan.
Nope, your turn, Marty.
Oh, shit.
Don't cut yourself out of your own show.
Yeah, screw that guy. The second album from Sweden's Merg. This is Gudatal. This is very aggressive, a little bit more atmospheric than, say, Gorgoroth, but there is a similar sort of unrelenting, nasty churn to this material. Very stripped down, ugly, dark, bleak black metal. Very good. Obviously, the cover artwork and the back kind of tells you what you're getting here with I don't have a whole lot to say about this other than it came out this year and I did listen to it quite a bit. I still have copies of this in the distro. So come and get it. Come and get a bunch of them. We used to do Nordvis and Byron worked together a lot back in this era, and I'd get his stuff in. Still have a lot left over. So, and we're still working. We're working together again. So anyway, check out this Merg album. Really good, raw, excellent black metal. If you like Gorgoroth, I don't see why you would be put off by Merg, except I think Merg is a little bit more interesting than Gorgoroth.
Which era of Gorgoroth are we talking about?
I'm talking about the earlier era of Gorgoroth. It's that type of unrelenting churn.
Okay.
But the Swedish side of it, there's a little bit more atmosphere to it, a little bit, but it's good. Good stuff. Logan.
All right, I want to join in on just the straight up black metal intensity while Marty's at it. From California, though, that's the sunny state of California produces one of the most toxic and vile, evil sounding black metal albums I can think of.
That's
from
a horrible way to talk about
2016.
Taylor Swift. How dare you, Logan?
I'm sorry, California and Taylor. This is Black Fucking Cancer with their self-titled album, Black Fucking Cancer. And they just exude hatred and like just toxic energy. It's one of those albums where it's not necessarily an easy listen. It's over an hour long. There are like 10-minute songs, like Acid Ocean track 2 is like 12 minutes. Wall of Corpses is like 9 minutes. And yeah, we check a lot of boxes that, you know, if you want to bask in the light of self-loathing and take a shower in your own pity, this is a great album for you. So It is a very sick and nasty album. Some of the best riffs are on here. Like the feel of it is worth purchasing. Just the atmosphere that kind of just boils your skin alive. Ben got me. This is some evil, vile shit from 2016. It definitely is a monolithic wall of sound, and I think worth checking out. The album cover is also Apollo Giardi, which is totally a highlight as well.
He's a busy dude.
He is.
Yes,
Yep.
he is.
To this day, like even back in 2016, he was a busy dude. So a decade of work for that guy. But this band is kind of sparse with the releases. As far as I know, they've only released one other album since then. So, but definitely recommend Black Fucking Cancer if you're looking for some evil American black metal from this year.
All right. Ellen.
All right, we've got cool Swedish raw black metal. We've got California misanthropic, throat-ripping black metal. Did someone say Avantasia? And Alan lets all the air out of the balloon.
I love Avantasia. I don't give a shit what anybody says.
Avantasia is fun. Not every album
Sorry.
works out, but in 2016, Tobias Sammet released Avantasia's Ghost Lights. I have no idea which album this is. There are so many Avantasia albums, but Ghost Lights is an extremely good one. Again, the quality can vary from album to album, but Ghost Lights has a good lineup. He always has a good lineup of people. It's just sometimes it feels like they don't have a lot to do or the songs don't click. But Ghost Lights has some of the best tracks they've done in the past 10 to 15 years. My wife is a huge fan, so we almost always get new Avantasia albums. This one stayed in the car CD player most of 2016. She loved the album to death, and I loved a lot of the tracks on it too. The title track, among others, is just really good stuff. It's what you want this style to be. And yes, you have to be willing to take a certain dose of cheese with this kind of metal. It's going to have its melodrama. It's going to have that certain soundtrack Disney-ish thing to it. But it's also going to have a lot of really talented musicians putting together the songs. I always liked Sammet's approach of having lots of guest vocalists with very distinct voices to do very distinct parts on very specific songs. It works extremely well. It's something I wish some other bands like Virgin Steel had done over the years with some of their operatic albums and concept albums. They would be so much cooler if you had different guests for each voice, which was kind of the winning formula that Tobias stumbled into when Avantasia got up and running. Yeah, it did kind of mean the end of Ed Guy as Avantasia became more and more popular.
It's all right.
But I kind of feel like the Ed Guy project might have run its course by the end anyway. There were some fun albums later in their career, but they were kind of treading water by the end, I think. Avantasia, now again, like the album that comes after this one, I don't remember the name of offhand. That tells you how good that one was. It felt very flat. It didn't have those big standout moments, but Ghost Lights is a really nice one. If somebody wanted to dip their toe into this style just to see what it's like and have a decent chance of enjoying it, Ghost Lights is one I would recommend. There's nothing too horribly cheesy. It's not filled with ridiculously sappy ballads or anything like that. So yeah, this could be an okay entry point for someone wanting just a little bit of Avantasia in their life.
It's a
I feel like
perfect.
that's a project that's due for another album too, come to think of
They
it.
just put one out last year. There Be Dragons, it was called.
Oh, that's right. I completely forgot about that one, which tells you something.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Well,
really,
well, then we have at least 8 more months before another Avantasia album. He cranks them out pretty fast sometimes.
I mean, it's a formula for success. If you surround yourself with the best singers in metal, your album's not going to suck. And he's as it turns out, he's a very, very good composer. Ed in the chat from Ed's Den of Metal, he hooked me up this past weekend with the first 2 Avantasia records.
Those are both good.
Man, they're really good.
Those 2 are more like traditional power metal-ish in nature.
You have Henyo from Gamma Ray on guitar and Marcus Grosskopf from Halloween on bass as your backup band. Come on, man. So good. It's a good records. Thanks again, Ed. All right. Is it my turn again? Okay.
It is your turn again.
We're going to Switzerland. And this is an album that I took forever. I bought it. It kind of sat on the shelf. Finally started listening to it a little bit. Tardigrada with Emotionale Odinus. This is a atmospheric black metal. Plain and simple. Doesn't really change, isn't really redefining anything. It's just really good melodic dissonance. There's a bit of fuzz in it. This came out on Fallen Empire Records and Eisenwald split release. Very lengthy record, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's very emotional. It's that type of churning, all that distortion swirling around creates this very ethereal type of atmosphere. Ethereal, that's not the right word. It's just a very weird emotional atmosphere to it. But yeah, atypical cover artwork. Probably this must be a concept of some sort. Like I said, I've only hit this record. I own it, and it's only been 3 or 4 times I've spun it, and it's been a minute. So, but yeah, I do remember enjoying this quite a bit. It is good atmospheric black metal from Switzerland. Check it out.
Jake agrees with you. Hey, Jake.
What's up, Jake? Right on, lady.
Cheers, Jake.
Oh, and look who just has checked in from Australia. Hey, Simon.
What's up, Simon? All right, Logan.
All right. Well, this is my Tough Guy album of the evening. I don't know who this is directed at, but
I already covered Avantasia.
Oh, you did. My bad. This is the other Tough Guy album then.
Yeah, fair enough.
You will never be one of us. You will never be one of us. You will never be one of us.
Yeah, that album does lifts and deadlifts and shit.
Yeah, it reeks of certain smells for sure. Certain gym smells.
So yeah, do some
nails.
smelling salts before you hit play on that, dude. Yeah.
Yep, and that's why it only lasts 20 minutes. So
yeah, to call that a full-length album is lame.
I prefer it. I think that's what you want from an album like this. Why would you want to be stuck in a room for 40 minutes with like this feel and this vibe? 20 minutes is good, and then your adrenaline is pumping. It's through the roof. Let's get on to the next thing. So I appreciate Nails for this. So their third album, Nuclear Blast, another Rest from Leviathan cover. I think he's done their most recent.
Thanks, Glenn. Appreciate you, man.
Hey, cheers, Glenn.
Thank you.
More
Glenn.
Michigan represent. A lot of Michiganders in the chat tonight. Cheers.
And this is it's a good album for sure. I am indeed a Nails bro, but this one they went a little bit
Do you
too,
even nails, bro?
I nails. You don't even know. I almost 9-inch nails, but I'm more like 6 inch.
Yeah.
They do get a little too far.
There's
up
a
their
joke
own
there.
ass.
I'm just gonna let that go.
Yeah, that's you're the bigger man, Marty. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
They do get a little bit too tough guy on this one. I kind of think it feels a bit forced at times in comparison to some of their other albums. There's a track called "Friend to All," where it's like the chorus is "Friend to all, friend to all, you're not my fucking friend at all," and that's the chorus. So it's we're not reaching too deep on this one, but it still gets the job done that Nails wants to. You're gonna destroy some drywall. You're gonna shout at your neighbor. You're gonna throw your trash can in the street.
Did you get the Die Hard edition with the kettlebells?
No. I was
dude. You don't even nails,
that.
bro.
No, I don't even nails. Oh well, but yeah, Nails. You will never be one of us.
Thank goodness. Anyway, Alan.
Nice job, Logan. You nailed it. Okay. Here's one nobody talks about from 2016, and it is a fantastic album. I think part of the problem is it's a little hard to find, especially in the US, which doesn't make sense because it's a US band on a fairly big label. Fate's Warnings, Theories in Flight. Fate's Warning, of course, needs no introduction. And this album doesn't do anything particularly different than what they have been doing on other albums during the 21st century. But everything on here just crystallizes so beautifully. You've got a fantastic lineup at this point with Bobby Jerzambek on drums, of course, Jim Matheos. And yes, yeah, we know it's not a John Arch album. That's long in the past. But this is easily the best album the band did in the 21st century. Fate's Warning has been laid to rest. They wrapped it up on the album after this. But this is an absolute highlight, and I'd say not just of the 21st century stuff, but of their career. Yeah, it's just a gorgeous set of songs played perfectly. So Fate's Warnings, albums, some of them are a little, hit or miss. They do have a couple of albums around the turn of the century that get a little strange. One of them I think is okay. Disconnected was okay. The one after that, that's just like FX10 or FWX for Fate's Warning 10. That one, I feel like doesn't come together well. But by the time they got to Theories in Flight, the one before this, Lighter Shade of Dark or Darker Shade of Pale, or I always butcher the name of that one. It's the one with the little origami swan on the cover. That one saw the band kind of getting back on their feet, but then there was a bit of a little lag before Theories in Flight came out, and it's just a fantastic album. Anybody who enjoys the Ray Alder era of Fates should definitely check this one out. It just doesn't get talked about very much. And as I said, finding a copy of it proved a lot more difficult than I thought. It seems like the kind of thing you should go on Discogs and there should be 17 copies for like $6 a piece. And there ends up being like one copy in North America and it's $32 plus shipping. It's like, the hell? Why? I just can't explain it, but it really is worth checking out. Fate's Warning still at the top of their game, released great stuff right up to the end of their career. The finale album after this one is good too, but Theories in Flight is the album if you're going to get one from the last, if you're going to get just one from the last 25 years of their career, Theories in Flight's the one I would recommend.
All right. Well, Germany, a little DSBM for you. Let's do some Cold World with their second full-length album, Autumn. This is well produced. You think of DSBM, you're thinking just raw, simplistic, maybe a drum machine. I think there is that aspect on here too. I don't recall, but it's been a minute since I've spun this. But very good, well produced. There's a nice atmosphere on this. Very depressive, very slow, dreary, depressive black metal. And it looks, very atypical. It's a nice gatefold. There's a lot of photography on the inside of the, I'm not going to tear it all apart, but this is probably my favorite of the bunch. I've got the first three. I'm looking at the Metal Archives and I guess I have all three of them. Nope, I do not have Isolation. But this is a project, if you're into the sadder side of the black metal sound, but yet maintaining a raw foundation. There's a bit of a romantic thing about this too, as you can maybe see from the imagery, but it remains pretty much a higher elevation of DSBM. It isn't just the bands like Happy Days or whatever that are just crap, bedroom black metal stuff. This is a little bit higher caliber of that, a little bit more musically advanced, but still in that same depressive, dissonant churn. It's good stuff. Check it out. All right, Logan.
All right. We'll not be going down the DSBM rabbit hole. We'll be Actually, going to a death metal album, and another example of a band not doing much since then. And this is the biggest, like, where are you? Please come back. Please release the album that you've been talking about for years. Gorguts. Come on, Luke. We love you. I mean, take all the time you need. It's all good, but please, at the same time,
I think I saw something that it is confirmed for late this year.
I think I
That
saw
it's like
I
in the
saw that
can
last
being
year.
pressed up. Yeah, I could be wrong, and
It
things
was-
can happen. But I feel like the album is done, or that they are moving towards an actual release.
Funny note about the metal tag. Every year, one of the questions that is always included is name an album that you're expecting this year. And inadvertently, I was going to pick Gorguts. And then I looked back to the 2024 metal tag, or the 2025 one, I guess. I picked Gorguts that year. Then I went back one more year. I picked Gorguts again. So they've been toying with my emotions for a bit now, which is all good. If the quality is this level, we're all good. This, of course, is Pleiades Dust from... It's an EP, too. So it's not even a full-length proper. The last full-length was 2013, the masterpiece that is Colored Sands. But
Right.
30 minutes, one song, and my God, the breadth of composition that they accomplish in this one track is impressive. Like, they go from mammoth, like gargantuan doomy sections to like the fast technical sections to an ambient, more atmospheric, and section that just kind of builds. It's just a great tour de force for Gorguts. So in only one track, they basically seal the deal with why they're one of the best death metal bands out there, period, in my humble opinion. And Pleiades Dust definitely does it. It's technical, not too technical. It's memorable, and it's just fun to listen to and easy to listen to for just being one long 30-minute track. So definitely look forward to whatever Luke has up his sleeve next. I mean, I do want to hear it, but at the same time, I can wait. I can still wait. It's been 10 years, it's a couple more.
Right. Alan.
All right. I have to go to the phone for this one. I've only got it on MP3. This one got mentioned real early in the evening, and I forgot I had pulled it up on my phone. So let's get to it now. Mesa from Italy released their debut, Belfry. This band has gone on to become pretty popular. They had a
Good
very strong
band.
album last year with The Spin that ranked
Yeah.
really high. They're on Metal Blade now. They've got a vocalist. She's got one of the prettiest voices of any band in the heavy spectrum right now. They're one of those bands that is very hard to describe. They have doomy elements, some sludge, a lot of atmospheric stuff, something that involves gazing, whether it's shoes or black or gazing at something else. I don't know what. It's a very kind of unique mixture of elements that goes into the Mesa sound. The debut is very different from the albums that have come since. This one has a very heavy, fuzzy, kind of distorted sound to it. And I absolutely love it. I think they nail that approach on here perfectly. I was always a little sad they didn't stick with it longer. When the second album came out, that sound was really reined in. I was like, damn it. Although they're very good at the style they've adopted since then too. But yeah, the Belfry is unique. If you're just new to the band, just checked them out last year when The Spin came out and got a lot of press. If you're working your way back through their catalog, when you get to the Belfry, it's going to sound more distinctly metal, and in particular having that kind of heavy, fuzzy doom metal vibe to it. But even on this album, it's not like it's a Pentagram clone or a Stoner album clone. It just has more of that guitar sound to it, but they already have kind of their unique, weird blend showing through on the debut. So yeah, very cool band, cool album. This is one of those like Logan, you mentioned earlier tonight a few times, there were bands you thought might take off and bands you didn't expect to. Mesa is not one I would have expected to take off quite this much. I'm really glad they did, because I think they do have a cool sound that deserves a wide audience. I wouldn't have bet on them catching the breaks that they did and getting that kind of exposure. But hey, sometimes there's a happy ending and things work out. So it's good to see Mesa going from strength to strength.
I think Rick was the only believer in that club. So
Yeah,
Rick
hopefully
was
he's getting
the band
his
guy that
payoff.
introduced me to the band.
Me too.
Yeah, it was one of the first ones.
He bought me
mentioned
the new CD. Actually, thanks, Rick.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. Rick and I reviewed the new album last year, and that was really fun doing that with him.
Yeah. Okay. Well, they were mentioned moments ago in the chat, so we might as well throw it up here. Moon Sorrow with let me see. You Melton Aika. I'm sure that's perfect.
You're finished, right? So
you nailed it better
doesn't
than Logan
my,
nailed it when he nailed it with nails.
My great grandparents spoke it because they came over from Finland, but yeah, I watch shows and try to, like the 13th Warrior, where you sit there and how did you learn our language? I listened. Nah, it doesn't work with this stuff. This is batshit crazy, rolling R's and all sorts of vowels. And anyway, this is a band that says on the Metal Archives it's active, and it has been since this record, 2016, that they haven't done anything else. And recently, they're back in the limelight. They're back in people's discussion now because there's a video of the singer/bass player stumbling around the stage drunk and falling off said stage. So all I can say is welcome to Finland. And this is obviously a sign of a band 10 years in that isn't in a healthy way. You're 10 years since this album has been put out, and you're playing shows for what reason? I mean, what are you promoting? Maybe they got something new coming out. I don't know, but to go completely shit-faced drunk on stage and fall off the stage during a show, oh, come on. Save it till after. But anyway, this is a great album. This is a good band, man. They're Finnish black metal has a characteristic sound, and I don't really hear a lot of that characteristic in the Moon Sorrow sound. They're a bit more pagan, a little bit more folky at times. They sound a little bit more Scandinavian, if that, to those who don't know, Finland isn't considered part of Scandinavia. It's a northern country. They're brothers and sisters, but they're not considered Scandinavia. But anyway, it sounds like maybe a bit of a Swedish influence in here, or maybe a little Norwegian influence creeped in here, but the records are all really good. Really solid black metal, very melodic, very interesting folk inclusion in with the black metal, but they never go so far out in left field with the folk that it becomes a distraction. It's just really solid black metal song. Saw them once. They played the Heathen Crusade Festival here many years ago in St. Paul, Minnesota. They were great. Great band. Good to see them live. And I think that might have been, I don't know. I'm not going to say it was their only time they've been here, because they may have played an MDF or something. I have no idea, but this is the latest Moon Sorrow record. Interesting band photos.
It
pretty cool.
Looks just like when he fell off stage. Actually.
Yeah, exactly. Here he is. I'm dead. Okay. Anyway,
it's interesting for them because at least back in their heyday, weren't they somewhat regular with releasing albums?
Very prolific.
Like,
yeah, they've
never
got a good
had
run.
A break like this before. At least Gorguts,
Yep.
There's been breaks for sure.
Good band though. Good band. It'd be nice to hear them pull it together and get some new shit out.
Yeah. It's a band I've poked at, but I've never really dived into their catalog. Folks recommend them all the time. And just earlier this week, I was playing the Haverity one, kind of giving it a spin while doing some other stuff. So, yeah, one of those bands I keep poking at. Just got to dive into them someday.
Yep. All right.
I think the theme here is where have you gone? Release something. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And my contribution to this continual theme is Bolzer. You guys remember this band?
That band is good for
Barely.
one
You
song.
remember that band? Yeah.
The
Oh,
Wolf
Marty.
Shook. The Wolf Shook song is like their best song they've ever written.
Absolutely. It's one of my favorite like metal songs from the 2010s period. It's a
But none of the rest of their
phenomenal
shit
metal song.
touches that
No,
quality.
it comes close.
It
Not
doesn't.
though off of that Aura album and the next EP. Shit, I don't remember the name of it, but this was a huge disappointment for me from 2016. Hero
wasn't Wolf Shook.
is because it's not Wolf Shook.
Exactly.
And I don't know what they were trying to do with this one. Honestly, they are bringing
Entranced
in
by the Wolf Shook. That's the name of it. Yeah. Came back.
they are bringing in too much like clean singing. They actually start to sound like a boring version of Mastodon. And I like Mastodon. I should be all on board with that. But somehow the clean singing, it makes me think of something off of Emperor of Sands or something. But it just doesn't work on here, especially like when I think of the two EPs from Bolzer, the music is so forward moving. It has such a momentum and attack. The riffs are so winding and innovative and like psychedelic in nature. Here it's like it all like takes a step back and is a bit more reserved, and they're trying to be psychedelic for the sake of psychedelia. I don't know. I kind of miss this one. I hold on to it because I hope one day I will click with it. I spun it yesterday. It still really does not do too much for me. But then, yeah, once again, this band has not done anything since this. This is one. They're one full length. Like if we went back in time 10 years ago, this would have been one of the hottest bands on the scene. Like I remember they had their 2 EPs. They came over here and did MDF, and everyone was like, that MDF set was the best of all of that year. And then they dropped this, and then they really haven't done much since. So I don't know. I don't know what's happened to Bolzer, but I would love for them to come back again. Even if they release another album like Hero, I will at least check it out. But I do want more Wolf Shook. I guess I am on your camp, Marty. Entranced by Wolf Shook is a special song.
Crushing.
The way the
awesome.
riff writing and the drums and everything goes, it is the best thing they've done. And I think they're going to be one of those bands that are almost kind of living in the shadow of that one song, funny enough. But still, I have to mention Bolzer because this was a big, had a lot of talk and excitement about it when it was coming out back in 2016. And here we are 10 years later. Nothing really new.
All right. Alan.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm still trying to fathom the possibility of something more boring than Mastodon. Logan said that, and my brain just shut down.
Alan.
I've tried with Mastodon a couple of times, and I don't get it. It's just not the project for me. At least the albums I've heard didn't work. It wasn't horrible, but it's just like, nah, I don't need this. Okay, another one that's kind of hard to wrap your brain around sometimes. This band is never easy to digest. Deathspell Omega put out the Synarchy of Molten Bones in 2016. And this one threw people for a bit of a loop. The first thing that's very strange about it is just the length. It's not even 30 minutes long. And this is a band where people had gotten used to some of their albums being an hour plus. It's like, wait, 29 minutes and change? Is this meant to be an album? It's meant to be an album. Huh. Yeah, that's cutting it pretty close on whether you get to call it an album or not. And I'll admit, it's not one I'm extremely familiar with, even though I own it. Deathspell Omega stuff is not an easy listen. You've got to process it for a long time to really sift through it all. They're one of those bands that's kind of interesting, but I often just don't want to put in the mental bandwidth it takes.
It's very jazzy.
To sit with one of the things. They can be, not always.
Not always, but yeah.
That's the thing. They shapeshift a lot. So you'll find elements you like. Maybe you like the jazzy part, but a few minutes later, it's back to the dissonant stuff. Maybe you like the dissonant stuff. And then a few minutes later, it's like, now it's in some kind of strange composition, time signature, I'm not able to follow. Again, not an easy project to digest. There are a lot of people, that consider this one of the best, most influential black metal bands ever, and they have been extremely influential ever since like the mid 2000s. The early stuff from Deathspell kind of came and went, so I guess some people were paying attention, but it's very different than once you get to that kind of triumvirate of albums that redefine what black metal was going to be like. And a lot of bands kind of quickly start paying. It's like, oh, let's follow those guys and try to do that sound. So yeah, I get their importance to the scene. I get that, yeah, the compositions are very developed and intricate, but they are a difficult band for me to process. It's one of those bands I find them interesting more than I actually like them, maybe.
Alan, have you heard Pericletus from them? Because that's kind of my favorite.
Mhm.
I actually really like that album as well. I do not own it, which is why will not be mentioned.
Same
but
here.
I'm glad you brought it up because I like how short it is because it's more digestible.
The length does, yeah. While people complained about the length, that is a point in its favor that this one is a little easier to get through. I would agree. I like the Pericletus album quite a bit. The second one in that trilogy, the Fe Ignum, that is not an album I can grok. Sure, I'm not smart enough to understand the album. Whatever, I actively dislike that album most of the time when I try to play it. The one before that, the one that they broke big with, what's that one called? I'm blanking on the name. It's got the dead cherub on the cover. Si Monumentum requires circumspice.
Yeah.
That one I do enjoy, but it's such a long album. Again,
a lot of cool bendy guitar riffs where they pull the strings while they're tremolo picking. Yep. It's very disoriented. Funhouse mirror type shit.
Yeah. That's a pretty good description of it, Marty. Yeah, for me to want to sit down and commit to listening to that album front to back, I got to be in just the right mood, and I ain't in that mood very often. There's other parts of their catalog I haven't checked out. I haven't avoided them for a particular reason, other than, again, it's a band I'm only going to dedicate so much time to. I get why some people dig them a lot. Maybe they just go over my head a bit. Don't know. Anyway, Marty, what's next on your list?
All right. Well, I'm still trudging through the black metal stuff here. We're going to Sweden. The final. No, this isn't the final. I take that back. This is the second to final Panfaga album, Drengskapper.
Oh, yeah. I had that over here.
This album is really good. This album, if you like Arcanum, this is a similar creature. Very catchy riffs, very well-written, hooky songs, but in a raw black metal context with good production. It's just he's a solo project. Don't remember the guy. He's always band photos are in like Adidas track suits with a mask on. It's just a bit absurd for this style of music, but this is a really, really good record and a really good, like I said, Arcanum. If Arcanum, of course, this project is also done at this point. They only put out 3 full-length records and a bunch of splits and other stuff. But yeah, this is really good stuff. Really well written, catchy as shit. Just the type of, it almost feels Finnish in a way. The way it hits, there's a bit of a rocking black metal vibe at times, but they keep it grim and well produced. Excellent. Drengskapper by Panfaga. Good stuff.
Yeah, it's a really good album. It's a concept album too. That's the story album, right? Yeah. I sometimes get their albums a little mixed up, but they are good.
Yep. All right. Yeah. And if anybody wants copies of the Panfaga album, I've got a bunch of them. I think I even have the Storm reissue as well. So check out shop.bindingrecordings.com. Go get you some.
Their logo is pretty cool. I commend the band logo. Sticking with my theme of hey, where you been? You okay? Inverloch. You guys remember this band right here? This is revitalization of disembowelment.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. They released the one, I think it was Dusk was the name of the EP. And then this is their one and only full length, Distance Collapsed. It's awesome. I honestly have not really gotten into the disembowelment that much just because I don't own it. So I'm not able to spin it as much as I would like. But this has kind of been there for me in that way. It is a very interesting and dynamic slice of death, doom, funeral doom. It really does what it wants. Like, it will be a absolutely crushing funeral doom dirge, and then all of a sudden this like tremolo picked fast-paced riff just comes through, and then you're off to the races. And then the next track, it's like a full-blown 8-minute barely keyboards, and it barely moves along at any pace whatsoever. This album is a great representation, I think, and a great continuation of what Disembowelment we're doing. If I have to mention any track, I think Imperium. Let me see. Of course, they don't have the track listing on here. Thanks, guys.
That's always helpful. Yeah.
The Empyrean Torment, the second to last track, is absolutely awesome. From the Eventide Pool is a very like cool, dirgy, borderline funeral doom track too. But I wouldn't mind some more Inverloch or more Disembowelment or whatever. Just something, in this vibe, because it's hard for a band, I think, to really nail the dynamic of going from that funeral doom level slow to like pulverizing, almost death grind speed. That's a tough balance to do, and I think they succeed here. And I know Disembowelment definitely did back in the day. So
that Disembowelment record, that's going to be another album club one of these days. It
should, dude. It should.
That's a special moment, and it's really weird how Disembowelment shaked out. That band kind of evolved into that Trial of the Bow project, which is kind of like world music, Dead Can Dancey, but weirder type of experimentation. It's not
I've
the
not
same.
Heard that. No, I have not heard that at all. That's This is what I would be looking for versus world music. No offense, but it's still it's cool. I'm here for a Disembowelment album club for sure.
All right, Ellen.
All right. Got one kind of stoner rock album for the pick, and I love this album to death. I mention it from time to time.
And we know it's not Mastodon, so.
And it is not Mastodon. That is absolutely correct. It is a band called Valley of the Sun. I think they're from Ohio, because of course then you name yourself Valley of the Sun. But this is I think it's the third album. I don't know their discography really well. It's called Volume Rock. Always kind of like the cover.
I thought Ohio was Plains of Despair.
that would be much more accurate.
More apt,
sure.
I think. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry to any Ohio folks here.
Meadows of surly women. But Valley of the Sun. I mean, it makes sense because again, they're going for a bit of that kind of desert vibe mixed in with the stoner rock thing. And this is one of the most fun albums to drive to. It's got the perfect heavy, fuzzy guitar and bass tone. And apparently both are played by the same guy. At this point, the band only had 2 members. So the vocalist also handles all the strings. So it's just him and the drummer at this point. And damn if his voice is not just perfect for this style. He can absolutely wail, but he's got a deeper tone to it. He sounds like some kind of shaman that has spent 20 years wandering around in the desert doing peyote and has now come back to tell you everything about the history of time. It is fantastic. Every riff is sharp. The guitar solos just, scream like, AC/DC level competency. The slower songs are heavy and groovy, a little bit psychedelic, but not out there. Just a little bit of trippy added in, but just ungodly heavy stuff. This works great for cruising on a highway. This works great for just wanting to street race. There are tracks on here that would make excellent music for like a strip club. I can absolutely see somebody, shaking their butt around a pole with this kind of stuff thumping in the background. It is one of my favorite albums from the past 10 years. And I don't say that hyperbolically. If I made a list, this would be on it for sure. The band did recruit some more members and put out some more stuff after this. I got the next album and it showed signs of similarities on some tracks, but it didn't feel quite the same. And I've checked out some tracks here from the first couple albums and they hadn't quite hit this formula yet. So it seems like there was just this one moment where the band absolutely nailed what has to be one of, if not my favorite stoner rock type albums of all time. It's not a genre I know well, to be fair. I don't go really deep in that style, but I would put this up there next to Caius, except they're doing something different. Caius is almost sort of a jamming band. This is a rock band put through like a Caius sounding filter to get those kind of tones, but completely meant to just rock out the entire time front to back. It is fantastic. Logan, I'm looking at you, sir. This seems like the kind of thing that you would absolutely dig.
You have impressed me with that monologue there. I will be checking it out. And
it's got to be the kind of thing you can find for $3 in every Goodwill store by now. The band has no big following or anything like that, but that album is an absolute gem of the style.
As I said, high hopes for sure.
I hope you dig it. It's if you don't, you're dead to me.
Whoa. There it is.
No pressure.
I've let go of the Mastodon thing, Alan. I don't know. We can find a deal here.
Yes. You try. I tell you what. You track it down. You enjoy it, and then you can name a Mastodon album, and I'll give it a fair shake.
Deal, sir.
Deal.
Yeah.
All right, Marty. We're over here wheeling and dealing. What you got over there?
Going to Australia. Don't know which album this is from this band, but this is Misartham. This is the one that's in Morse code is the name of it. There's code there. I don't know what it means. But
dot.
Drink your Ovaltine.
Yep, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Very good message.
Very good message here. I've talked about this a bunch on here before. This is really good black metal, but with a authentic techno backbone to it. It doesn't sound like lame ass. Sometimes metal dudes, when they start stepping into the other realms, they get the idea of what they're trying to emulate, but they don't get the essence of it. They never really capture the full essence. Here it feels really, like I said, authentic. The sounds are good. The beats are good. It's just an odd union that strangely works. But yeah, it's a raw black metal. Think Dark Space, maybe a bit dancier. Saying that just sounds gross, I know, but trust me, I got like 3 of their records. They got a bunch more than that. It's just solid. It's just really well done, and they're kind of pushing the boundaries a bit into what black metal is or could be. I could have probably taken this out. There isn't much to look at. It's just a comment, but solid record, solid band. They're actually playing shows now, and they've got the singer with the LED mask on. Metal. We've talked about this a bit on the Discord. Go check out the Discord, everybody. It's a lot of fun. Mask metal. We were talking about it in the band chat the other day too. A lot of mask metal sounds the same, but these guys kind of definitely have their own sound and style. So definitely cool. I could see these guys touring the world with Dark Space from France. So good union there for sure. All right. Logan's back.
All right. Last hour here. So I'm trying to make my picks count, which we're getting down to the wire. Let's see.
Shit, I got a ton of stuff still.
I still have a ton of stuff. So big album, double album from 2016. Also the last thing this band released, and unfortunately the lead guy Eric, what's his name from Cobalt? Eric Wonder, is that right? He passed away last year or in 2024. But Slow Forever by Cobalt, double album. It's absolutely massive. This is my first Cobalt album, so I know a lot of people recommend Gin, which that one is great too. But for me, this absolutely does it. It's for two big reasons for me, and it's Charlie Fell on vocals, which, if for those that know, he's from Lord Mantis originally. Absolutely scathing, acid-like vocal delivery. Absolutely love what he does on this album. And then instrumentally, I feel like they're bringing a bit of like progressive, almost Tool kind of vibe. And I know for a lot of people, you're like, ugh, no, Tool in my Cobalt, please no. But I think it works. Like the riff writing is phenomenal. Tracks like Ruiner, Beast Whip, Elephant Graveyard. Elephant Graveyard has probably one of the best riffs of the decade, I want to say. It just I wish we would just keep going for the whole duration of the album. But it really
Do a split with Entranced by Wolf Shook.
yeah.
Wolf.
the one song magic, man. There's
Yeah.
Now that's a stream right there. A band that only
Had one song.
song.
One good song. Yeah.
There's some new wave of British heavy metal bands, I'm sure, that would fit that
Yeah.
criteria.
Oh, yeah.
Alan
For
would
sure.
be the end boss of that episode for sure.
There would be some. Yep.
But there's a lot of emotional weight to this Cobalt album, though, as well. Like we get towards the end of it with tracks like Iconoclast and the closing final track, Slow Forever. It's talking about the burden of being an artist and trying to create something, and you're competing with what's already out there, with what you've done, your own self-doubts, the doubts of everyone else. It sounds like a lot for sure. But then to still create an album of this magnitude, like hour and a half, and it still hits the whole way through, is impressive. So I think Cobalt went out on a bang, and Slow Forever is a highlight from 2016 for sure.
Gin, man, that's my Cobalt album. That album is so good.
Absolutely. I wouldn't argue on that one either. I have yet to hear Eater of Birds, their first one.
A little more war metalish. That album, if I remember right, is a little bit more. It's been a long time since I've heard that one, but pretty intense.
Underrated band, underrated US black metal band, but they really do transcend what it means to be USBM with this release. They're just like pulverizing extreme American heavy metal at this point. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm. All right, Alan.
All righty. It's high time I mentioned this one. Running Wild came back with their best album in a very long time, Rapid Foray. We talked about this not too long ago with Lee. Warmaster is in the chat tonight. Good to see you, Lee. While this is not ever going to be like top 5 Running Wild albums of all time, it was the first time it felt like Rolf really had the spark for the classic Running Wild style, really since the late 90s or very earliest 2000s. Somewhere there around the turn of the century, the Running Wild pirate ship ran aground and got scuttled, and we were kind of marooned on an island with no good Running Wild songs for a good number of years. But this one works. Again, it's not A+ material. A lot of the songs, it does feel like, I'm pretty sure they did something like this sometime in the early 90s. You can hear where they're probably borrowing from themselves a little bit from time to time. But it does work. It's, again, it's a strange description, but as I say it, it does feel a little bit like the Hardwired to Self-Destruct. Been a long time since they did something I cared about. And while it's not perfect, it's good enough to get the thumbs up and make me kind of happy. So it was very nice to see Running Wild put out a decent album. It seemed like they were just going to flounder and eventually fade into obscurity with a string of albums that were not worthy of their catalog. Rapid Foray changed that. They've done one album since, and it's not quite as good as this one, but it's okay as well. It does feel like it's time for another album if it's going to happen, and hopefully he can kind of tighten up some of the elements that aren't quite there. It's one of those bands I would love to see go out in a blaze of glory. It's clear he's got the chops to still do it if he wants to. Go ahead, do one more big kick-ass album, and then you can sail off into the sunset if you want. But yeah, I want one more good album. Rapid Foray was the first thing in a long time that gave me hope we might get something close to that. We shall see.
You know, that's a band we talked, like you said, we talked about with Lee. It just has that feeling. How does a band have such an amazing run of albums? I mean, they just truly feel like they are in the twilight of their creative years in a lot of ways. And it's kind of sad. Like I too didn't hate the last couple. That Rapid Foray is pretty good. And the latest one's okay. But yeah, it's just, you could tell there's a burnout or wanting to do something different, but your legacy is telling you not to do what you want to do. Do what we want you to do. Make another, pile of skulls. Make another,
Yeah, and I don't know Rolf's mentality on any of it. I don't know why he drifted so far off the quote-unquote standard Running Wild sound. It had served him well. He had stuck with it for a long time. Maybe he wanted to try something different. It was just odd that the different thing he wanted to try was such a simple, basic, stripped down rock approach. That's usually not the direction musicians decide they want to head into if they have their sort of quote unquote midlife crisis. And I don't know his motivations for the past two albums too. If it is a commercial pressure thing, if it is, maybe it's just one of those situations like when we talked about Paradise Lost a couple of weeks ago with the guys, that they just had to kind of work that out of their system. They kind of lost interest in metal for a bit and had to kind of slowly ramp themselves back into it. Maybe Rolf was just sick of metal after doing it for so long and needed to get something else out of his system. Kai Hansen did it for a couple of albums in Gamma Ray. It does happen. I have no idea what Rolf's headspace is with those. So
there's no way I Know More is like Shadowmaker, though.
Yeah, it's true.
No, Sigh No More is not a good album.
Oh.
But compared to Shadowmaker, it might as well be Master of Puppets.
Yeah. The problem is with going a more rock road, like what Running Wild is doing, that's fine. But one thing you need to really elevate that style of music is a kick-ass drummer. And he's relying on canned electronic drum beats. And it just completely sterilizes any sort of energy or flow. I mean, the flow, that's one thing. The flow, it maintains the same from start to finish. You set your tempo, and that's what you play for the whole length of the song. Whereas a kick-ass, I mean, say what you want about the early Gamma Ray stuff. What Uli Kush was a drummer on early on. I don't remember which one he was on.
Which one was Kush on? That's a good question. I feel like he was slightly what? Because it wasn't with them too long, I don't think.
Was he on Insanity and Genius? Line up.
That would make sense. It would make sense.
He was not. Maybe he was only on. Maybe he was only live. Was he on Sigh No More?
I don't know. He was with Halloween around Rabbit.
He was on Sigh No More. Uli Kush drums.
It's a win for that album.
Yeah,
it needed a win.
All right, it's one of badly. Like two Gamma Ray albums I own. So.
He looks like he was only on one album. I don't think he was on.
Okay. He bounced around a lot around that point in time. So he did an album here, an album there, because he was with Sinner. He was with Halloween very briefly. Yeah.
And Master Plan. He was with Master Plan for a couple albums.
Yep. Yeah, I'm looking at the discography now. Yeah, he did Master of the Rings.
He was Gamma Ray too. Was he in Gamma Ray too?
Actually,
he might have been.
Yeah, he did. Let's see. What did he do with?
Well, we were talking about Gamma Ray. I don't know why I just said that.
Was his only Gamma Ray album. He did.
I think he's on
Master
Say
and
No
Better
More,
Than
Marty.
Raw.
Yeah,
That was
never say no more, Dar.
in time of the. He did 3 Halloween albums. There it is.
What did he do?
He did 3 Halloween albums. The 3 comebacks.
Yeah.
Master, Time of the Oath, and Better Than Raw.
Wasn't he also on the Dark
Oh
Ride?
no, and he was on the Dark Ride. You're right. No,
Yeah.
he was 4. Okay, I forgot he was in Halloween that long.
Yeah.
And then some Master Plan, some Mekong Delta. No, he definitely got around.
He was around.
I've learned something tonight.
Yeah.
Uli Kush. He
Uli
gets
Kush.
around.
Drummer for hire.
He's a great drummer too. Fantastic drummer.
Yep.
But if they had an Uli Kush level drummer, getting back to the original topic here, fronting pushing a rock flavored Running Wild, I think it would be it'd feel a bit different, but yeah, long way around here getting there. Sorry, folks. We got on a tangent.
That's okay.
Would that have saved the albums though, you think? I mean,
it would have helped. I don't know if it would have saved it.
You're right. It wouldn't have hurt.
Yeah. So was Uli Kush like the James Murphy of German power metal?
He must be, yeah. Yep. All
I
right.
don't know. He stayed with Halloween for 4 albums. Murphy never stayed anywhere that long.
No, he did not. All right. Well, let's go up to Canada, Fortress with Themes pour la Rebellion. How was that? Nailed it.
Viva la Resistance.
You nailed it more than you nailed the other thing that out-nailed Logan's nails.
That's right, bro. I kettlebelled this son of a bitch.
I thought I was a nail bro, but
this is kind of like the end boss of the whole Quebecois black metal thing. They're a band that's been kind of a long running and spearheaded the sound in a lot of ways. Maybe perfected the sound, we'll say. There's a very constant tremolo based melody line that runs through every single one of these songs. And it's just kind of the sound of this band. It's interesting. It's kind of a dark, haunting, off in the distance type of feel in the atmosphere. They tend to focus on a lot of just fast, straight ahead speed. Yeah, I don't know. It's not a really dense concept, and a lot of the bands from the whole Quebec scene kind of fall into this sort of formula. But yeah, I'm fancy free. But yeah, great band, and it's a sound that I'm not often in the mood for, but when I put it on, this band definitely hits the spot when I'm in the mood for it. So yep, good stuff. I'm gonna have to kick up production here. All right, Logan.
all right, getting late night here. Let's go for some of the deep cuts now. We're past the Metallicas and the Megadeths. Let's sneak in some Howls of Ebb. This is a now defunct death metal band, one that I wish went on a bit longer.
The guy went on to do the Dulcimer band with the plants. What the hell is it called?
Oh, is this Botanist? Is this the Botanist guy?
I think it's the same guy.
Oh, I did not realize that. I was looking into their archives earlier today and totally missed that.
I think that came before Botanist, but let me.
Yeah, because they were active very early 2010s. I think like they had a debut from 2012. I have my favorite release from them is this EP, The Morrow Veil, which came out in 2015, and then this is the final release, final full length from 2016. Cursus Impasse, the Pendlomic Vows. So, is it indeed that guy?
I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I might be. Seems like I'm right, but it's not in the metal archives. But I don't know. Who knows? I could be wrong.
Definitely interesting band photos here. We got the member is Fog over there, and that guy's. I think he's huffing paint. I believe.
Eating lead paint chips.
Anything to
I am. I eat lead paint chips. I don't huff shit.
Anything to transcend reality and
That's
write
right.
cosmic death metal like this.
And die in pain. Ugh.
That's the metal way.
Yes.
This is some really like mind-altering death metal, though. I
It is.
absolutely love this band's discography. They do end on a high note for me. The riff writing is so weird. The guitar tone is so bizarre and buzzing, swampy. It's a mess in the best way possible. And like all their albums are a trip, so I absolutely would recommend checking out any of them. Definitely this one. I'm not going to try to pronounce any of these Cthulhu-like names on the back, but it's somewhere like they don't. I think what makes this band special is they don't lose their songwriting by trying to be cavernous, brooding, like Portal clone or Incantation clone. They feel a bit more old school than that, like a bit more like swampy and early Morbid Angel-ish, while still being kind of weird and abstract. Like they write songs, and it doesn't all just become a sound or a gimmick for the sake of it. So definitely recommend Howls of Ebb for anyone who needs some like Lovecraftian, really bizarre death metal. So here, Cursus Impasse.
Sounds promising. I don't know them, but I like your description.
Check them out.
All right.
Okay. Let's do another epic metal outing. This band is really good, and they never seem to get any traction in terms of exposure. All their stuff has basically been digital only. I've seen some CD pressings, but I think somebody's just putting out CDRs or something. They're a UK band from York called Sellsword.
I really like that band.
Yeah, they are very, very good at this style. The dude's voice is perfect for it. He's got that real bravado kind of, I don't know if he quite registers as baritone, but it's perfect for, tales of, high adventure kind of storytelling. And the musicianship goes with it absolutely perfectly as well. They've done 2 albums. 2016, this was their first album. It's called And Now We Ride. Yeah, okay. I can ride with that for sure. They've done 1 album since then. But yeah, they seem kind of stuck putting out just digital tracks here and there. Like they did a really, really nice rendition of... hold on, let me get back over here to the right.
Alan, I don't know. They had an ellipses at the beginning of that album title, not an exclamation mark at the end. It kind of seemed more like, and now we ride,
That sounds like there's a comma after now.
Oh,
so
wait a minute. Are you guys trying to teach me shit again? Enough of this.
I think, Logan, it's actually more like, and now we ride.
There we go.
There. Okay, we got there.
Don't come here to learn. God.
But let's see. Yeah, they did a single in 2024 for a song called Saxon Steel. That's a kick-ass tune. They did a Into the West, the song from the Lord of the Rings. They do a beautiful version of that, but it just got released as a digital single. Haven't done an album since 2019, so they're overdue for that. But
I think they broke up.
Are they? Metal Archive says active, but when does Metal
maybe they are. I don't know. I'm full of misinformation tonight, so sorry.
I don't know. They did a couple of singles in 2024, so there's at least something recently been going on. Real shame if this band doesn't get a contract. They're perfect for fans of stuff like Eternal Champion, Visigoth, Fer-de-Lance, Omen, for classic band stuff, in the Omen vein. Yeah, Sellsword is fantastic at it. The one complaint, and if you're thinking, oh yeah, we'll go check this out on Bandcamp, they charge a little bit too much on Bandcamp for their stuff. The individual songs aren't bad, but for downloading the albums, it's like, come on.
I wanted physicals of all that shit, and it just wasn't there, and I wasn't going to download the tracks because I will never listen to them. But I'd listen to them. It's good. I really wish I could have physical copies of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind the download as much as you do. It sometimes doesn't get played as much, I will admit. But this one, I revisit it from time to time. If I have a criticism of the album other than just the price tag of the digital product, it does feel a little long. They probably could have trimmed a song or 2 from it, because even though while it's really good, it does start to feel a little samey by the time you're in the home stretch for the last few tracks. It's like, probably could have cut this album right about here, and I'd feel better about replaying it right away, rather than I've got 12 more minutes to get through, and by the end of it, I'm going to be ready for something else. But yeah, Sellsword, one of those bands that ought to get there and just don't quite seem to be getting over the hump. Maybe this is the push they needed. We can hope. All right, Marty. What Logan's right, we're kind of in the home stretch ourselves here. So what else you got in that big pile over there?
I'm gonna double sum up here. Well, you've got Bethlehem with Bethlehem. This is Bethlehem coming off of a bit of a run where they were experimenting a bit with some electronic stuff. This is the first album with O'Neillar on vocals, who is the front woman guitar player for Darken Nocturne Slaughter Cult, which is a fantastic German black metal band. Her voice is just absolutely sick. She completely channels the spirit of Lanferman off the early stuff. And then Marco Kellerin, who was on Suicide, and the lady Catherine was her name, it was on the Suicide album, which is like one of my favorite. If you want the beginning of DSBM, that to me feels like a proper artistic statement. That's just a great record. Always respected the band's early career, and I did appreciate their more electronic leanings, but this is just a solid return to form. Basically, they completely dig back into the dark metal, the Dick Tear album, the second Land for Man record, and then Suicide, and they've kind of stayed in this realm until last year Jürgen Bartsch passed away. So I don't know what the future of this band is, but absolutely fantastic Bethlehem record. Going to the USA, we got Ancestral Shadows with The Sorrows of Centuries Past. East Coast black metal band that kind of channels a European via American atmosphere. Really solid record. We got Sorcier de Glace with North Canadian represent once again. Solid band, couple old guys churning out some quality black metal. They're not doing anything new or unique, but they're just really in the pocket and solid. And then, God, I want to say Czechia. These guys are Czechia. I'm not sure if that is where these guys are from, but Sacrilegium with I can't read the text. Anima Lucifera. People basically know this band from the Witcher album. Very good. This is a much later album. It's really well done. They progressed a little bit tighter, a little bit more proficient in creating atmosphere. Really good stuff. They have a Eastern European vibe to them, and they're snappy dressers. But good stuff. And my next round will be power metal. Logan.
Well, for the posterity of time, and because Marty the host did it, I'm gonna double up just a little bit as well. There's a couple albums that I kind of have to mention, otherwise my membership of the Stoner Metal Archives gets revoked. So, and this one especially, because there's a Ragin' Cajun outside right now if I don't talk about Crowbar and their 2016 album, The Serpent Only Lies. So Kirk Weinstein and the gang just absolutely crushing it. They're really, to me, like Motorhead for, the modern day metalhead. They just keep going and going and just delivering the same consistent goods, all very riff driven, all very Southern sludge oriented, but at the same time, they're true to their core. So, like, you know what you're going to get. They're not going to blow you away, but Crowbar absolutely deliver the goods, and The Serpent Only Lies is no different. Also, cool album cover with guy wrestling snake. And then to go from where I currently live, Louisiana, to where I used to live, North Carolina, Sour Vein. This is the anthems to the East Coast over there. Aquatic Occult. This is the Outer Banks. That's what I was looking for. This is an Outer Banks based band, Cape Fear, North Carolina. long-standing sludge band. The last album they've done, so they've been absent for a bit. Hope they're doing well. You never know with these sludge bands. But very much more straightforward, riff-driven, a bit more hardcore oriented. Makes me think of Buzz Oven, I Hate God, stuff like that. Randy Blythe makes an appearance on this album. Just a very straightforward, attack-oriented Southern sludge slab from Cape Fear, North Carolina. Love Sour Vein for those not in the know. And then finally, Whoa Fat. There's a band name. Whoa Fat. Midnight Cometh. We're getting a bit more towards the sleep territory, in the hour and also in the influence.
Yay.
And Marty goes to bed.
And there was rejoicing.
This is definitely droney, riff heavy, and trance-inducing, like desert walking stuff. So heavy, single-minded, sludge, stoner, bordering that rock and like actual heavy metal stuff. So
Dukes of Hazzard reference from north of the Rockies, everyone. First time ever.
over my head.
Yeah. Tom Wopat was Dukes of Hazzard. He was Luke Duke. No, wait, he was Bo Duke. He was Luke Duke. Anyway. Sorry.
Wolfat. Tom Wolfat. Go check it out, guys. Cheers.
All right, Ellen.
If it ain't Daisy Duke, I don't give a crap.
I was more of a Boss Hog man myself. Anyway, go ahead.
You need help, sir. you need serious help.
I'm gonna look up who that is. Let's see.
Oh wow, we should have referenced it was before Logan's time. He has no idea Dukes of Hazzard. Come on.
All right.
Next thing you're going to say you've never heard of Grizzly Adams. Come on.
Who?
Anyway, showing our age. Anyway, go ahead.
Yes, here we go. Debut album, blackened kind of speed thrash band that I'm partial to, and they've done pretty well for themselves since then. Bewitcher's debut came out in 2016, and it's a pretty fully formed project by this point. There's a lot of bands that do this style. It's probably a bit overdone. And I think at this point, we've seen some bands have kind of risen to the top with acts like Hell Ripper. And it's become a crowded scene. It feels like it's one of those corners that's going to be tough for other bands to break into unless they do some kind of stupid gimmick to get people's attention, which I hope they don't. Bewitcher's pretty straightforward. One thing I like about Bewitcher is they're a little more rock and metal oriented than a lot of the bands that want to stick more to either thrash or some combination of like blackened death thrash or blackened thrash death or deathly blackened thrash. Bewitcher does some of that, but they also feel like this could just be a pretty badass heavy metal band, except it's got, the blackened rasps to the vocals and such. So they feel a little more streamlined and tighter than some of their contemporaries. Anyway, the debut is very good. The second album, I feel, is the one where there's like a little bit of a dip in quality with Bewitcher. And of course, then Cursed Be Thy Kingdom was the third album. That kind of helped break them much bigger. The fourth album got surprisingly little attention. It seems like it was one of those releases that went a bit overlooked. A lot of people were looking forward to it, but then it just kind of came and went. I'm not sure why that is. It took the band maybe a heartbeat too long. They ended up putting out like a 10-year retrospective before the fourth studio album, which felt unnecessary. Maybe cost them a little bit of momentum. I'm not sure. But yeah, if you like the whole blackened thrash thing, but you'd like the bands to be a little more straightforward sometimes, Bewitcher's a good pick for that. May not appeal to folks if you strictly want like, the Death Hammer sound or the Hell Ripper sound. Bewitcher may seem slightly too tame, but I like the difference. They stand out a little bit compared to some of the other acts. Not the biggest name on the scene, but they've done well for themselves, and I hope they continue to do so.
All right. Now get out your tortilla chips. We're going to dip into a nice big bowl of Velveeta cheese with a little pecani sauce in it. That'd be delicious, wouldn't it? We're going to start off in Sweden. We're going to go with Twilight Force, Heroes of Mighty Magic. You got the purple dragon. You got some sprites flying around there. And when your package comes with a second bonus disc that has karaoke versions of some of the songs, you are in for a symphonic metal treat. And this band is fantastic, technically awe-inspiring. Shred guitars all over the place on here. I think this is their second record. Am I wrong? Third record, second record. I don't know. They all have a dragon on it. It's kind of like the whole the one with the eagle on it when you talk about Primal Fear. But this is a really solid band. If you are into symphonic power metal, this is definitely a standout band for sure. They got a new album about to come out. What I've heard from it, I don't know if I like the song, but you've got let me see if I can find here you go. There you go. LARP your heart out. You got your cloaks, you got your swords, you got your elf guy with the bow. You got a couple elf dudes there, which they wear the masks and the elf ears live. And on the 70,000 Tons of Metal boat, they play Magic the Gathering with the fans. So you've got a band that is truly walking the nerd walk for sure. Dig it. And we'll head to Italy. I believe this is where Rhapsody of Fire are from. This is Into the Legend. The main band was Rhapsody. There was a falling out. The keyboard player started Rhapsody of Fire. Luca Turilli was involved in it, and then it was changed to Luca Turilli's Rhapsody. I don't know. It's a whole thing.
It's ridiculous.
It's a trajectory in a rabbit hole that you don't want to go down. Every iteration has been a different version. It's been a different band name. It's been whatever.
There haven't been that many egos crammed into a band since Asia was formed.
Right. And basically, this is still Rhapsody of Fire when you have Fabio Leone on vocals. So he is, quite an amazing operatic voice. And this is, again, symphonic power metal. Very well done. I want to say it's a little less cheesy than it is less cheesy than Twilight Force. But Twilight Force has more of a bombastic attack, where Rhapsody of Fire, this is a little bit more synth driven, which is fine. It's really good. I still like it. And then you had the reunion, the second album from the reunion of my favorite guitar duo ever. Denner and Sherman put out Masters of Evil in 2016. This is pretty good stuff. It is. I didn't listen to it quite as much as I anticipated I would. It did bring back Don't Break the Oath vibes. I mean, obviously the color scheme here, the hand reaching out, the zombie getting burned, the skeleton being burned. They're trying really hard to recapture that spirit. And, the guitar work on here is fantastic. You got two guys that complement each other very well, writing heavy / power metal. Lady Metal, Fabio went to Angra, and now he's out of Angra. He quit or got fired. I don't know. He's not in Angra anymore. I saw that the other day. I need to revisit this.
Too big to import into South America.
Right. I need to revisit this a bit more. And their singer was trying to do some King Diamond things in a more modern way, which I never fully warmed up to their singer in the Denner Sherman thing. But still worth checking out. And we mentioned Running Wild earlier, but we've got the Swedish tribute to Running Wild in Blazing Stone. They put out the War of the Roses album on Stormspell back in the day in 2016. And, are these guys as good as Running Wild? No. Technically, yeah, they are. And they do really capture the spirit, I think, fairly well with the music of Blazing Stone. I don't like the singer's voice as much as I enjoy Ralph's, but it's still in there. And if you're a Running Wild fan and wish they continued on with their 8 or 9 album run into glory, well, Blazing Stone have not really had a misstep. All their shit, it's a bit irrelevant or a bit redundant, I guess, but it's still really well done. So
Agreed.
there you go. And Logan is back. We're gonna make
right,
this the last round.
Yep, this will have to be last call.
All right.
Show them if
will-
you got them.
I've got them. I guess it's just how many do I want to show? Let's see. First off, I forgot to mention this on my Southern Sludge rant the last time around. Black Tusk, Pillars of Ash. This is kind of an important album for the band. For those who know, this is a Savannah, Georgia sludge band. One of their key songwriters, his name was Athon. He passed away in 2014 due to a motorcycle accident. So this is the last album that he was on, for this band. So it's almost like a in memoriam tribute release to him. It definitely has like that classic sludge, early Baroness, early Mastodon style. But I've always thought that Black Tusk do it a bit more punk oriented and just feel a bit more raw and just loose and kind of drunk. And I appreciate that. So cheers, guys. And it does have a fitting tribute to Athon on here. So Black Tusk. And then from American sludge, let's go to South American, like crazy thrash. Witch Trap. Trap the Witch. From
Good
the
band.
hills of Colombia.
Good band.
Yeah. Great band.
But if you trap the witch, what are you going to do with her?
And that's what I was wondering. They don't reveal that on this album, Alan. They just do you know how they're going to trap the witch, but that's it. Just
I think the next one was called Release the Witch, so it was like a trap and release kind of program.
Apparently a bear trap works on witches. Who knew? So
Bear trap will work on just about anything.
Yeah.
Tracks like Lemmy and Power of the Mall. Great fun album. I was able to see these guys live in Charlotte back a couple years ago. God, one of the most fun concerts I've ever been to in a tiny little place called the Milestone. If you're ever in Charlotte, check that venue out. It's awesome. Witch Trap, fun band. Don't take it too seriously. Just thrash out. It's great. Another Heavy Metallurgy Album Club band, Cover Attack, also haunts Marty's dreams.
Yeah.
Released a album which I think is worth mentioning.
Not for me.
Knatsford. This is also one of their weaker albums in my opinion as well, but I think still worth mentioning. Not metal, but I think it deserves mentioning in a music stream. David Bowie released his last album, Black
It's a good
Star.
album. I like
And
it.
it's a great album. It's a very haunting album. I just want to pay a quick tribute to it and to just how David Bowie kind of exited his career.
Very dark
was
record.
Yes, man. The song Lazarus gets me every time.
The only Bowie I own is that record. Oddly enough.
It's for me. It's actually just that one and Ziggy Stardust. So, and I don't want to end on a David Bowie album as my last pull since it's not metal. So let's talk about Crowless real quick. This is an EP by Crowless called Hyperion. Sometimes Crowless is a bit much to take on as a full album. Like Years Past Matter is great. I love it. But God, it's so dense. This is 20 minutes. It's easy to digest and it's still very abstract and obtuse at the same time. So definitely recommend this if you're a Crowless fan, but sometimes not willing to dive into a full-length album, which is like an hour long. So there we go. I will leave that as my outro for 2016.
All right. Alan.
Very nice. All right, I'll flip through a few here real quick. We had the 2016 debut from Zoth, a very fun sort of
Good band.
cosmically themed black melodic death thrash, all of the above.
Yeah.
This one was called Invasion of the Tentacube. It is not a great album. This band started off a little rough around the edges. Maybe they rushed to make an album before they were quite ready. The two albums since then have been excellent. I enjoy both of them a lot. You can even just kind of tell a little bit from the cover art on this debut that it's like, yeah, this is probably not a project that's quite ready to go out the door yet. So little disappointing there. Let's see. From Denmark, we had Altars of Oblivion released an EP called Barren Grounds. That is one of their best releases ever. This band does kind of a doomy flavored traditional metal. They have a very unique vocalist. This has been an Album Club alumni also. I like their projects. It's one of those bands to me that's kind of a B tier band. I'm always kind of interested to see what they do, but it's never going to be like album of the year material either. Their last album was quite good. Folks like that one quite a bit. Kellen had it really high on his list, I think. But the Barren Ground EP is some of their best tracks. From Sweden, we have Armory, World Peace, Cosmic War, with a astronaut fighting a space octopus going on with the tentacles there. Armory, yeah, it's kind of a speedy, thrashy band. Nothing too fancy, pretty straightforward sound, but not bad. Kind of like it. We have a release from Malleus, Storm of Witchcraft. So see, if you don't trap the witch properly, you get a whole bunch of witch storm stuff going on.
Conjure a storm, yep.
Yep. And this album conjures Hellhammer and Celtic Frost.
Yep.
And if you're in the market for yet another Hellhammer / early Celtic Frost clone, Malleus will scratch that itch for you. This band has broken up since, and folks have moved on to other projects. They think they did a little more material, but yeah, Storm of Witchcraft, it's Celtic Frost worship. There's nothing else really to say there. Last one I wanted to highlight, our buddy King Fally, who's been on the show many times. His October 31st project did a fun album in 2016. It's called Metal Massacre 31. It's all cover songs, but they picked a song from each of the different Metal Massacre volumes to cover.
Cool idea, yeah.
Which was a really cool idea, and it's a perfect kind of thing. October 31st operates in that space anyway. They're one of those bands that could have fit onto a Metal Massacre compilation. And I mean, with King and his crew, they're going to pick great tracks. So I mean, they cover like Cross My Way from Death Dealer, Forbidden Evil by Warcry, Torture Me from Omen, The Awakening by Titanic, Dead of Night from the Demon Flight EP, Heavy Metal Virgin from Aloha, later Hawaii and Vixen and all that, The Alien from Sacred Blade, Metal Merchants from Hallows Eve, The Warrior by Final Warning, obscure one there, and Armageddon by Tyrant. Not that Tyrant, a different Tyrant. Just a very fun compilation outing from October 31st. And I'm done. Marty, the stage is yours.
Speed round. Here we go.
Do it.
Well, Abat stole all of the Immortal material and put out his debut solo album. I think it's just called Abat. Yep, it is. This is pretty good. It's a good record. It would have been a good Immortal record, and a little bit more commercially accessible the way the songs are written, but it's still good. His voice, of course, is the character that carries it. Going to Germany, we got Imperium Decadence with Dis Manibus. This is a
Good
kind of a long
choice
record.
on that one.
What's that?
Good choice. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's kind of a long record, but it's really solid, well written. A lot of mid-paced churning black metal here. Good vocals, well produced. On Season of Mist, good stuff. Another Season of Mist here. Finish Baptism with 5. The Devil's Fire. I'm a sucker for the Finnish sound, and these is more from a solo thing into a full band at this point, and it's a solid raw Finnish black metal record with a good production, memorable, good stuff. Brutality from Florida managed to put a full-length album out finally after years of, there was an EP as well, but Sea of Ignorance, I don't think they've done anything since this either, but really solid, well-produced, heavy Floridian death metal. check out their early stuff. Screams of Anguish. Wow, what an album. Sky Turns Black, I think, is the one after it. Also really good. Good band. Check out Brutality. And lastly, but not leastly, is For All Kings by Anthrax.
Yep. One more entry from the Big Four.
Yep. One more entry from the Big Four. And I was really impressed with Joey coming back to Anthrax. The band needed to do it.
Oh, yes, they needed to do it.
The band needed it really bad. With Worship Music, they still have, they sound like Anthrax again. No shade on John Bush. For me, he just wasn't a right fit. Good vocals, but just not a right fit. And the band changed their style a bit too during the whole John Bush era.
Yes, and not for the better.
Not for the better. This here is Anthrax sounding like Anthrax again. This, Worship Music could have come out after Persistence of Time. And this is a perfect follow-up to Worship Music. The songs are really well written. They're good thrash metal, modern day thrash metal songs. And Joey sounds great, man. He does. He sounds like Joey Belladonna. He isn't struggling. He finds the hook, the vocal hook in every song. And it's just a good union between him and, the guys in the band. So I'm looking forward to a new Anthrax record. This is probably a popular old guy opinion who grew up on thrash metal, but I'm really impressed with the last two. And I've listened to them a lot. I listened to them more than I've listened to old Anthrax at this point in a long time. So yeah, really solid records, well produced, good stuff. And yeah, we didn't hit everything in 2016, but I think we put a pretty good dent in it for sure. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, folks are mentioning some other ones. Sam mentioned a couple of good ones like Insomnium and Worm Rot that we didn't get around to.
Yeah,
can't name them all. And again, this is a year where I don't have as much depth for 2016 as some other years. But I think we've done it. We've done it justice for 3 hours.
Yep.
But yeah, so yeah, absolutely. Logan, it was a great idea to do a 2016 revisit.
The decade.
As we mentioned at the start, the years slipped by, and before you know it, some of these albums are 10 years old. There were some things that we're looking up. It's like, wasn't this out in 2016? It's like, no, it's like 2015 or 2014. It's even further back already.
Yeah,
so, easy to lose track of.
Yeah, that was fun. Thank you guys. Appreciate you all having me on for this.
Oh, of course, absolutely, anytime.
If you're new here, you're seeing Logan for the first time, he has a channel, Metal and Beer Snob. Link in the description. Click on that. Go subscribe to him. He's also one of the crew on the Wednesday Album Club. You'll see him every Wednesday talking about metal stuff. So,
Wolverine Blues this upcoming Wednesday.
Exactly. This here is next Wednesday's pick, Wolverine Blues. Should be an interesting conversation. And check out yesterday's Testament interview that is uploaded to the channel by Sue Verica with contributor Sue Verica, and good conversation with Chuck Billy. It's only a 17-minute long interview. I think you have time in your day to see what Chuck has to say. Reviews every week. Alan put one up Monday. It was for Brain is Bush.
Elegy and
Circular Ruin.
Yep, 2 black metal projects. And we've got more of those to come.
More coming.
Yep.
That's it, everybody. You all rule. Thank you. 250 episodes. It's been an awesome time spent with all you fine folks in the chat. You keep us straight on information when one of us is wrong. And always good to have your contribution every week with us. We really appreciate you. And thank you for all the super chats and support you guys do. And check out the Discord server if you have not. A lot of cool stuff happening in there too. The conversations rolling all week long. So, Alan, Let's Talk Metal every Tuesday. Link. I don't know if you put the link in the description. You should. You should be doing that. Let's Talk Metal. What do you got going on Tuesday?
I don't know. I have some videos recorded already. I'll probably pick one of those. I'll see. I might actually have time this weekend to sit down and record something new, though. So maybe I'll save those in the can. Just checking some other stuff here. So we've done 250 episodes, right?
Yep.
And let's see. If we assume each of those is roughly 3 hours long, that'd be 750 hours worth of content.
Some are way more than that too.
Some are, yeah. That's kind of a minimum. You divide that by 24. That means if somebody wanted to watch all of the Heavy Metal episodes, or if somebody has, and there are a few of you out there who just might have made it, you have spent 31 solid days of your life watching Heavy Metallurgy. So yes, we have made one complete month's worth of nonstop viewing for your pleasure.
That's just for Friday show, not including the 1 to 2 hour discussions on
that is
album
just the
club.
Friday shows. That is just that doesn't include the album clubs. That doesn't include the S. Craig Zoller episodes, which fill up about 3 months worth of your life on their own. So we joke, but it's always great having Craig on. He goes into great detail, which is absolutely fascinating to listen to him pick things apart.
Yep. All right. Well, that's it. Now that you know the numbers and are horrified and ashamed of yourself for wasting so much fucking time.
Yes, Simon's in having one of those moments.
Yes, he's having one of those moments. And Simon has contributed to some of that
Simon's
wasting of
part
time.
of those 31 days. Absolutely.
Right on. Okay, everybody. Cheers. We will see you next week. Hang around. We'll see ya. Take care.